Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our podcast network, head to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Coming in hot, ladies and gents, welcome back to Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast. It's Valentine's Day as we sit here to record this ep. So happy belated one to you and your sweetie. By the time you hear this, I'm your host, Dagster Moriarty. And look here, I've been awake since 6:30, 6:15 in the morning, just so I could be here with you guys today. You lucky sons of bitch. It's Friday, as we record this anyway. I'm feeling a lot of Friday energy for once. A lot of Fridays don't feel like Friday, but this feels like Friday. So I'm coming in sort of, energized, caffeinated, all that kind of stuff. We've got a little, here's what I like. This flavor coming in. We've got a little East Coast, West Coast beef brewing today. I like it. But not really, because it's kind of 3 East Coasters versus 1 West Coaster. So,
yeah,
Brad, you're horrendously outnumbered.
Mm-hmm.
And let's start there, my friends. Summon Sign's own, Orange County's own, Bradley, if you're nasty. Ellis, everybody. What's up, Brad?
Whoa, Bradley, if you're nasty. I've never heard that before. I've heard a lot of nicknames, but never ever putting.
What was
like
that? Was that Janet, if you're nasty? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what a sweet summer child you are, Brad.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm like 3 years younger than you.
Yeah, I know. I said, so I did an episode of Side Quest that will go live this weekend. And I keep talking about how like I'm a 40-year-old that has the brain of a 75-year-old. It's crazy how inundated I was with things that I really shouldn't have known because I was the youngest of all these people. But anyway, good to see you, Brad, if you're nasty.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. Good to see you, Dagan, as well. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yeah. I only ever see you on the show, but it's a pleasure every time. And Chris, I don't see you that often either. So it's good to see you, Chris, as well.
Yeah. Worlds colliding. You know what's funny about the Jackson thing? And now I'm thinking about Brad because I'm thinking Anaheim, I'm thinking Disneyland. I saw LaToya Jackson in Disneyland when I lived in LA.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
LaToya,
I guess this was
one.
2000, I think.
Wait, where did she play Disneyland?
No, she was just walking around enjoying the park.
Oh, okay.
With a little entourage.
Okay.
You know, like looks like a Jackson. You know what I mean? Like has that Jackson face. Not trying to hide it, just out in the open, people kind of pointing and, you know, like no one really bugging her that I saw, but definitely people noticing. Very interesting. In real life, like that like sort of plastic surgery thing going on.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah, they look like wax. Yeah.
Exactly. Well said. So that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that in a long time. Number 2, I want to introduce you to one of my favorite podcasters, YouTube personalities. I don't know. Don't hem him in with labels. He's above all that. Colin's favorite son. Now, I say this when Dustin's on, but when Chris is on, I mean it. Chris Reagan, everybody.
That is crazy. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be with you guys today. You mentioned Anaheim and Disneyland, and it reminded me of the last time I was at Universal. I saw a bird having a seizure. It was awesome. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and that just unlocked the. I was with my parents too. That was a weird trip. But thank you for having me. And that has nothing to do with anything.
I love that though, because I could just see, you know how they have like the Disney secret police? They're supposed to kind of preserve the fantasy sort of landscape that goes on there. So I could see them having a big problem with anybody like wildlife having issues.
Oh, yeah.
They got to be on that.
At Disney, maybe. This was Universal. They didn't give a fuck.
Oh, Universal. Okay.
They couldn't care less.
Yeah, they don't care.
The Disney police is bad, dude. They're shitty. Have you seen those videos of people like fighting at Disneyland and they like do nothing? These like fat Disney security guards come out
are the best.
And they can't do anything. It's like, yeah, they're horrible. Universal probably has better grunts. They'll beat the shit out of you probably at Universal.
Yeah, they'll kill you.
Yeah,
they'll kill you and say it's
Levioso on you to keep it all, to keep it on brand.
They'll slam you into the ground at Mach 10 with a fucking wand. It's crazy. But like Disney, yeah, I don't know. Like I've seen fights at Disneyland. It's always, or like Disney World, whichever one. I can't really tell the difference from a glance because I don't think I've been to. I think I've been to either of them. I went to Disney World when I was like 6 or like 7, but that was so long ago that it doesn't. I don't remember that. Like I know that I was there because there's photographic evidence, but I might as well not have been.
You have no memories of it.
No, not even slightly. No.
Yeah, they say don't bring kids until they're old enough to remember it. You know, because really, if you bring them earlier, then I don't know what the age is, 8. It's really for you, right? It's not for them so much.
Yeah. Right? It's a complete waste of a baby's time and energy to take them to a theme park. I can't imagine that they're not terrified. You know, like you're relatively new to this planet, so you haven't really figured out what's real and what isn't. And then you've got these like big-headed fucking mascots that are like vaguely human. They're like kind of uncanny, and you got them waltzing around saying whimsical. I don't even know how. I don't know how you don't leave a place like that as a baby traumatized in some way.
Yeah, it answers you know what it is? It answers the question. Kids grow up watching cartoons, right? Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden, you realize or you think, oh, these things I've been watching are human scale. So it's horrifying. Right. Because all of a sudden, it answers the question of how big these things are. Yeah, it's like Mario's. It's like Mario's proportion in New Donk City in that Mario Odyssey, where he's like, you compare him to the other people, and it's like if I was one of these people, I'd be fucking mortified at the sight of this guy. You know.
Well, Chris, weren't we talking about how is it Caillou or whatever that guy, that little bald kid's name is? Like, yeah, Caillou.
Oh, Caillou. Oh,
yeah, if you look up Caillou's height, he's like 6'9" or something, some crazy, which is like such a fun. Like there's no way that's true, but I love the fact that the internet has decided that that's true because it kind of puts into perspective like how tall his parents must be, like what world he must inhabit, and like the scale that I love that. I love that fact.
My kids love that show.
He's like 6'9". It's so awesome.
And look, finally, who's back? Everybody's favorite freeloader, mooching off our topics. Kind of a third wheel, if you ask me, but not if we ask you. We were just talking about it. The level of belly aching when this guy's not on the show. Your favorite. Blue Slime and Colin Moriarty.
There he is.
That'd be funny if that was just like who was on the screen. Just one Blue Slime. He's going to be fucking wrecked by the end of this. Good to be here with you guys today. Yeah, everyone complains. I wasn't on last week for the first time in like 5 weeks. Everyone complained. So I'm back. Here I am. Now, Dig, for LaToya Jackson, wasn't there something about her? She was married to some dude, right? Where it was like fucking crazy.
Like I don't know. I'll look it up.
Yeah. She was married to some dude in like the 80s and 90s where it was like some sort of like, I want to say an arranged marriage, but like something weird was going on with her.
Was it another personality performer type or was it
I looked up the guy's name. It's Jack Gordon, but I don't know anything about it. I don't remember anything about it, but there was like, I don't know. So that's what LaToya is like. The you know, Janet, if you're nasty, is Janet Jackson. Obviously, that's the second most important Jackson.
Legend.
But anyway, it's good to be here with you. Good to see you. Yeah, like you said, it's Valentine's Day. I'm sorry I was a couple minutes late. We were exchanging our little gifts.
What did you get? What did you give?
Little things like Micah always just sends me like she's like I'm kind of looking at these chocolates on, you know, the internet.
Oh yeah, she told me about this.
And then she buys me like nuts. Like from nuts.com. So
that does not
sound real, by the way, at all.
Yeah,
like
nuts.com.
Nuts.com. You don't want, it's a danger. Like when you go there, you don't know exactly what you're going to get. Dig, it's funny. The other day I was just thinking of Nuts and Milk and I was going to send you the box art for it, but I forgot.
Classic.
Do you guys know what Nuts and Milk is? It's like an obscure Famicom game. It was actually like an arcade game. But it was so like Dagan and I thought it was so funny, the name of it, that we thought it was like a fake game for years. We didn't think it was like real.
Yeah, for years.
Like we knew it existed. We played it, but we were like, this has to be some sort of made up ROM.
Yeah, fan hack.
It's called Nuts and Milk.
Yeah, it's Hudson. Yeah, Hudson Soft.
I don't know if I even knew it was Hudson.
What game is it?
It's like some sort of old like static screen platformer, like puzzle game. I think.
You know? Yeah, some arcade game.
Terrible name.
It's the best name ever. Because that was Nesticle. Right, that was Nesticle that introduced us to that.
Right, because there was a I don't know if people still use it, but there was an emulator in the 90s called Nesticle that was like the first NES emulator, and it just
also a terrible name.
It is. But it was like a great emulator. I don't know what people use today, but Nesticle was like the shit back in the day. And it came with a lot of it came like with the embedded games. So we would just go through the games, Dagan and I, and like play them and hang out. I mean, Nuts and Milk was one of them. And we're like, this has to be like a ROM hack. Like, what is Nuts and Milk?
That's awesome.
But lo and behold, it ended up being a real game. So I was thinking about that the other day. I got to buy that. I should have bought that for you when I was in Japan. There were probably copious copies of Nuts and Milk.
Yeah, that would be a great one to have a physical copy of.
Nuts
for sure.
Nuts and Milk, Nesticle.
What the hell is wrong with it?
It's like, yeah. It's just, I got a new emulator. It's polygonorrhea.
Writing that down. Somebody out there's writing that down.
What's the NES emulator these days? I don't even know. Like what people
NES?
use.
I don't know about NES. I've been doing DS and 3DS ones, so I'm not sure about NES.
I don't even think you need an emulator to do NES. You can probably just do that in a browser now.
Right, exactly.
That is true. That is
you used to have to do weird things. Like NES wasn't so bad about this, but I used to emulate Apple II games sometimes, and you have to like do a thing with Apple II where you have to like slow your computer down.
Whoa, weird.
Or at least you did, like you had to like do something because it would run like it would be so overclocked. And these very crude Apple II
That's so
emulators.
Funny.
I'm sure it's not like that anymore. But in my day, it was Nesticle and then SNES 9X, right? That
was a big one. That one's still around, I think. I'm trying to think of what
I never
used.
emulated any of that. I have to be honest, I'm not even trying to be like, look at how good I am. I never emulated a disc-based console ever. So I don't even know how that really works. I did pirate games on those, on PS1 specifically and Dreamcast. But because on Dreamcast, it was begging you to do it.
It really was.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I couldn't even believe it. Because it came after the PS1 and you had to do all this shit to the PS1 to make it work, but it was fine. Like you had to put a little spring in there. You put something in the parallel port. You kept the disk drive open and you like spun a real disk and you pulled it out. It was fucking crazy.
Loved it.
And then, but with Dreamcast, it was like, no, just copy whatever you want.
Yeah. It was really amazing.
Just put it on CDRW and you'll be good.
That is truly, yeah. Because I have a modded PS1. I don't even remember. Like I think it was like a friend of my mom's who like lived in our building. He also played games. And he was like, "Yo, I could bust that PlayStation open for you. Watch this." And so like I would go to Blockbuster, like the video store, and I would just there was like they rented games at Blockbuster. Right? I remember I have like very vague memories of this.
Yeah, definitely.
And I remember getting like a bunch of games from Blockbuster and just coming home, burning them onto a blank CD, and then just bringing it back the next day. And I just have all like those disc sleeves where like people put all their games. All of like 80% of my PS1 library is just blank CDs with like Sharpie, like Spider-Man.
I love it.
Strider.
Yeah, I have like Dagan has all my games, but I have a ton of real PS1 games, but I have a ton of bootleg ones too. And I've told the story in the past, but like we used to go to me and my friend Kevin used to go to 112 Video on Long Island. He got a CDRW in like 2000 or 1999, like something where it was like it was unheard of. And we were like, wait, what could you do? And so we would go, I've told this story in the past that we would go to 112 and rent a bunch of games. They had like a thing where you could like have a subscription basically and rent like 3 at a time. So we would literally, it was clear as day what we were doing. like every day we would just go get new ones. And one of the days, and I said this was God season pays kind of shit, and I always remembered it. One of the days I went there with him, it was raining. There was a thunderstorm. Yeah. It fried my computer, my modem in my computer, because I stayed connected to the internet. It fucked like my whole shit up while I was away, like trying to burn these, fucking whatever I was burning. 1,000 arms. I had 1,000 arms. It couldn't have been that. But I don't know. And it was always games that I didn't really care about because I still wanted to buy those games. So I was like, I'm going to copy Vigilante 8.
Cool Borders. Yeah.
Right. Like Cool Borders 2. Too extreme. I was always copying like the weirdest shit, but then I learned, I'm like, and that was the last time I ever really, and I was in 10th grade, I think when that happened. And I'm like, oh, never again. So that was the last time I ever pirated something, but I still emulate. I not anymore, but emulated NES and SNES games with random and Genesis and Master System with reckless abandon.
Yeah.
Who cares at that point?
Yeah. There's a certain point where it just kind of like, I can count like maybe on one hand how many games I've like authentically tried to emulate. It was probably, I think, the 2 Spider-Man Neversoft games, because I just don't think they're never gonna like release those ever again. So like, or at least they haven't. It's like the one game for the PS1 so far that I played as a kid that isn't available. You got like Blood Omen and like Medieval and weird shit on PS1 or on the PS5 store for the PS Classics. But like, I feel like those games are never coming. So like, I don't feel bad about that, especially because I bought those too. So like, fuck, nah, I want to play these. Deal with it.
People should look up the emulator, or not the emulator, but the thing you would put in the back of your PS1, because you could like do a hard like welding. I think like you could like send your PS1 away, but there was this thing you could buy from like a boat in Hong Kong. It was called Goldfinger. People might remember, and it was literally just this like weird box, and you put it into the parallel port, the back right of the PS1, and then it came with a little spring. And you put the spring, you know, there's on the lid, there's like a thing that tells it that it's shut. So you put a spring on that and it keeps it shut. And literally you'd have to take, my game was Final Fantasy Tactics. For some reason, I always did this. I kept Final Fantasy Tactics in there. It would spin up. It would bring up the classic startup. You'd pull the disc out while that was happening. It would be spinning like a fucking cutting your finger. You'd pull the disc out and hope that it would keep spinning, and then put the disc in, and it would boot into the game. That's how it worked. Yeah. It was crazy. I have no idea why it worked, but
I love that kind of shit. Like just workarounds. Like somebody thought of that, then, you know, black market bootleg the product. Such a specific era. I miss it.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And then Dreamcast was almost anticlimactic, because I remember PJ, Dagan's best friend, had a Japanese Dreamcast.
Right.
And so he had it early. We were playing it in like the summer of 99, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that's what convinced me to get one when it came out, because that was like unprecedented, where I was like, Colin's going to get a Sega console. And I did. I loved it. I love the Dreamcast. But that literally, for people that don't know, you literally could just copy shit. You could just take Crazy Taxi and put it in a CDR, copy it onto a disc, and then put it back.
No right protection.
And it would work. There was nothing stopping you from doing it.
Nope.
It was one of the craziest things ever. People say that really hurt it, but I don't think it did, because the timing was weird. That was when CDR was still really rare.
Yeah, it was
So
new.
I don't think that had anything to do with it, to be honest. And there was that thing. What was that thing, Dave? Bleem?
I don't remember.
Bleemcast? Which was like some sort of also like copying. Yeah. So those were the days. It was interesting back then.
Yeah, it just lent itself to that era. I don't even know if it hurt Sega or if they were just, you know what's cool about the Dreamcast era that I never really realized? Like a lot of those games are still like the go-to editions of those games, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah, I was going to say
like
Marvel.
Dreamcast is the ultimate edition of that game outside of the arcade.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the closest to the arcade.
Yeah, they have good fighting game ports.
Crazy Taxi.
Insane.
Power Stone.
Power Stone's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really loved the Dreamcast. There was a moment with me in the Dreamcast where I was like, it only lasted a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I used to buy so many games for it. Which again, Dagan should have somewhere in the bowels of his
some
house.
Rubbermaid bin in the attic. Yeah. Bunch of your big things. Like,
yeah, you have everything.
Yeah, I think everything's in my attic above the garages. Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah.
I don't care. I really don't care. Like a lot of people want that stuff, and I'm like, it's cool. Like it's all digital now. Now, Dig, I don't know if you know this. Chris and I have talked about this on Sacred. Is the pirating is so sophisticated now that everyone knows. Like you can pirate, and I really get mad about this stuff. But I'm not going to be your dad. You can do what you want. But I think it's totally fucked up that people pirate more modern stuff. But you can turn on you can hack your Vita and get access to a Vita storefront where every game is on the store. So it's presented like it's the store.
No way.
But it's all free.
No, I never knew that. Is it really?
Yeah. So like it's like every game that's ever been on Vita.
What?
And the whole interface looks like the PlayStation Store, but you just download the games. And we know this because our games are on there.
Holy shit.
That kind of shit pisses me off, just because it's like, and that should be an interesting topic one day, is like piracy. Because I feel like it's kind of like there's such an obvious delineation to me and like a series of rules of when you pirate and when you don't. And the fact that like people brag about like, I'm pirating Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or there's a bunch of Spider-Man 2 copies on. It's like, these are brand new games.
That's disturbing.
I don't. Now people will say like, you did that back when you were a kid. Yeah, dude, I was in 10th grade.
Right.
Like, yeah, I was 14 or 15 years old or whatever it was,
Holy shit.
If you're 15 and you're pirating Spider-Man 2, I'm not going to yell at you.
Is there any data on who's doing it and where it's stemming from? Tracing it back to who's
I would imagine it's everywhere, but I know for a fact, like we talked about this on the show, that like it's big in Eastern Europe and Russia. I'm pretty sure Russia kind of encourages their people to do it. because they're locked out of a lot of those markets. So yeah,
Very
it's just it's a bummer. Like you don't want to become school marmish about it. But I actually think it's more reasonable that we were pirating NES games in the GameCube era than it is now, because they're available. Like you can actually go and get a lot of them now on Wii.
Yeah, more than ever.
On Switch or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, but like it's like
some games.
People are very precious about this shit like that. A lot of people get offended. Yeah, some games. Like that's the point. Is if a game is truly not available, that's an obvious rule to just be like, well, go ahead. I mean, what do you?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with Pokemon. Their stores are closed. You can't buy it, or if you buy it used, it's $100. And I'm like, well,
wow. That's fucking crazy.
Fuck that.
Yeah, like if it's not for sale easily or it's closed. Not readily available, it's like, well, what? Yeah. I'm not of the mind that like you have no right to it.
No,
but because people are like, well, it's not available anymore. And it's like, well, too bad, I guess.
Right. But, yeah.
But I understand, and it's like, well, whatever. Who's really being harmed in that if you go and pirate that game? As opposed,
I would give them money if they would let me.
Right. It goes back to the story I told of. I love this story about when Sunday Ticket, the NFL thing in Santa Monica, they wouldn't give it to me because I lived in like an apartment building where you can get DirecTV. And I was literally on the phone with them being like, so Sunday Ticket was like a spin-off app after a while. And I used to use it on PlayStation. So when I moved to LA from San Francisco, I could no longer use it. And I was on the phone with them and I was literally like, you either give me a subscription, like let me buy for $400 a subscription to Sunday Ticket, or I'm going to pirate all the games. And then they went away for a few minutes and they came back and like, okay, sir, yeah, well, because it was literally just like an override, you know, because they wanted you to get the dish. And I'm like, I'm not getting the dish. So you can either take $400 or I'm just going to pirate the games. Like, and I was just straight up with them. That recording probably exists somewhere in there. Training
That's
module.
Amazing.
That's awesome. I always think about that, like how long your call stays in that weird like database of like recording. Like they must filter them out at a certain point, right? You have to imagine it's almost like a dash cam type stuff.
Yeah,
right. Keep them all.
Yeah, I always assume too, Chris, that maybe they don't even do it. They do it once in a while, and so it's just
like they just say they do.
Yeah, and it kind of scares you a little bit, probably, right? Like you're probably 20% better behaved. The person who's going to go off is not going to go off if they think they're going to be recorded. Maybe. Like I'm always nice to people anyway, but I'm extra nice when I went on like the call. Like, I'm not going to be part of your fucking training at Bank of America, or whatever.
Right.
By the way, Kyle.
Yeah, Dick.
Going back to that nuts.com thing, Mike has got to be careful. I think it's Helene's mom got a subscription to that. So it's like you get a variety of different nuts delivered to your house every day. But I heard from multiple sources that it's like impossible to stop it when you're ready to quit. And so I think Helen just threw her hands up and had them send it directly to us because she can't cancel it. So she's still paying for it. It's still coming. And it's like to this enormous degree where it's like, what am I going to do with all these nuts? And she can't stop it.
She's like, she goes to nuts.com to cancel and they're like, absolutely not.
Yeah, that sounds illegal.
Yeah. So like under no circumstances, Helen, are we stopping this shipment?
These nuts are coming.
Like tell her to go to the bank.
I think she might have signed something that said like you agree to this for the rest of your life.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's a contract where it's like, it could have been like a 3-year thing where it's like, well, it could also be like you paid for this and you're going to pay for it for 3 years. So we're just going to continue to send you the product. I mean,
it's like,
imagine being strong arm to do an infinite subscription to nuts.com is so sad.
Hilarious. That's comedy, my friends. That's comedy. All right, my friends, listen.
Yeah.
4 dudes, 3 topics after the fashion of how we like to do things now around here. And we got some good ones for you today, some fun ones. Brad, if you're cool, I'd like to kick things off with your topic, my friend.
Yeah, dude. So I was just curious about this. Where do you guys stand on fragrances? Oh. Do you wear cologne? Do you like a girl to wear perfume? But not just that. What do you think about like soaps? The fragrance industry is large beyond that. Beyond cologne and perfume. You got candles that people love that smell like stuff. Soap. It's a huge industry. Humongous. And I just kind of know where you guys kind of land on this. Chris, I'm really curious about you. A well put together gentleman. Do you wear fragrances or anything like that, first of all?
Yeah. No, It's weird. Like this is an area that I'm interested in, but I'm always like, I'm kind of daunted by, because even as I think about it right now, it's like, okay, let's say today, I'm going to go get cologne. No idea where I would even go to get it. I have no idea what store I would go to. I don't feel comfortable getting them online because I don't know what I don't know what they smell like. So
you want to try them, yeah.
Right, yeah. So like all of the cologne or anything like that I've ever gotten has always been either like a gift from like my father, or like a hand-me-down from my dad, or like gifts from friends of mine who happen to be into cologne enough that they probably know more than I do, but I'm too embarrassed to admit that I don't know as much as they do. Because I feel like I should know where I feel like I should know where to get cologne, but I sincerely don't. But I have so much of it from just like gifts that I've never had to learn. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I'm particularly, and me and Colin have had this conversation in the past on Sacred about like shampoos and stuff. Like, I don't necessarily have like a brand loyalty. I don't have like, I gotta go to the Head and Shoulders, or I try every time I go to refill on my shampoo or body wash. It's always like whatever catches my eye that day. There's like, oh, Method Men. I wonder what that's like. Oh,
Method Man.
No, literally. There's a shampoo called Method Men. And
Really?
I'm like, oh yeah. Let me check that out.
Is it the rappers?
I don't think so.
It
doesn't. That would be.
I see it here.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be
Yeah, they're
amazing.
like very minimalistic, kind of like monochromatic bottles.
Oh,
And I like
it's
that.
because it's the brand Method for men.
For men.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
So it
makes
says
more.
Method Men.
This is a cross-branding opportunity.
I know, dude. They gotta get on that.
Yeah. They're quite frankly imbeciles to not have thought of this before
so
we have.
stupid.
But yeah, so like it's different every time for me, just because I don't know. I haven't really noticed that much of a. There's some that I've tried that have sucked for sure, and I just won't go back there. But it's like very few and far between. Chances are, if it's on the store shelf, it works. It does what it's supposed to do, and I don't hate it. So I'm kind of lenient about like which ones I go for, or like which ones I prefer, but I do prefer something. I'm not like, I don't like the unscented stuff. I think it's kind of bland and uninteresting. I typically use cologne if I go out pretty much anywhere. Although you can overdo it, so you got to be careful with that shit.
Yeah, you gotta be real careful.
But the only thing that I think really caught my eye, or as far as like I'm definitely like seeking this stuff out whenever I see it, is this. It's called African black soap, and it's so fucking good. It's like this exfoliating soap, and it smells delicious to the point where like I've thought every single time I'm using it, I'm like, I want to eat this. I'm tempted. Like I'm brought back to like being 4 or 3 years old, where it's just like I just want to eat I just want to eat this thing. It smells so good. But African black soap is killer. Candles, I'm a candle guy. I'm also an incense guy. Like I have incense that I burn.
Oh, wow.
Palo Santo, which is like a more of a Puerto Rican kind of thing that you get. Like I like fragrances. I'm into all sorts of them. But African black soap, a nice candle, preferably like a citrus. Like, I don't know. Like I go to World Market sometimes and like look at the candles that they have, and I usually like just go based on a whim. Like I go smell them. It's like, this sucks. This feels like this is like a hotel. You can smell that it's a hotel. It's weird. But I don't know if I have anything like specific that I look for. It really is just kind of like in the moment, feel it out.
Right.
Test things out, see if they work. If they don't, I won't. Like I still have Dr. Squatch sitting there.
Oh.
That like I like, but it's this. So Dr. Squatch is like this black kind of. It's like this black kind of body wash. It's like, I don't know if you've seen that stuff. It's like charcoal, I think, is what it's like based in. And it like I like it, but it like fucks my tub.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like it's charcoal, so it stains really quick. So like every time I use it, I have to make sure to like I gotta wash the shower after this, and I just like and I never want to do that. So it's just like I have a full thing of Dr. Squatch sitting there for like a year, from like a sponsorship I did like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, that brand got big fast.
Yeah,
like they're all over Target now and stuff.
Yeah, they
huge.
They had that Sydney Sweeney ad campaign. So me and Sydney Sweeney have done the same ad campaign.
No way.
What? I have an in, guys.
Nice.
On this Valentine's Day. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a big cologne guy. I just wish I knew where to go.
Go to any department store. Well, they're a little more pushy there.
Right, exactly.
You have to go behind a counter. I would say, do you have like a Sephora?
Yeah, Sephora is good.
That's
right?
one of the best spots to go. Honestly.
Really? I've never thought to go into a Sephora because I just thought that's for women.
No, there's men's stuff too.
They have lots of cologne in there.
Oh.
And you don't have to like deal with anyone. You can just walk up to it. You don't got to ask anyone to see it. It's just there. You can try it.
I love the men's section in these places because it's always like this fucking derelict corner.
Yes.
Where there's like a hidden passage. There's like a mummy sitting behind it somewhere. It's like somebody's dead in the walls behind it. Like I went to, I think Bath and Body Works because I was like trying to get like a face wash because I was like, I ran out of it. And I walked in there. It's like, hey, I just need like face wash. And it's like, oh, let me take you to the men's section. And they walked me to this like down. It wasn't literally down a dark hallway, but it felt like it.
Yeah,
like it felt like I was being like ashamedly walked to like a room. Yeah, to like the gallows or something, and they just had like this one vertical, very small slice of shelves. Where it's like, this is all you get. Sorry.
Yeah. We get fucked over in stores like that.
Yeah.
We do.
They always have so much more variety to pick from.
Yeah, it's annoying. It sucks too because I would put a lot more effort and I would care a lot more about this stuff if I just had a reason to. Like I like getting nice clothes. It's just like whenever I go to like a men's anywhere, like even just like a fast fashion kind of place like an H&M, it's just like it's all beige and monochromatic and boring. And I'm like, this is fucking. What are we doing? It's just so lame.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's another subject.
Yeah. Yeah, you're way more into fragrances than I imagined. Candles and all that kind of stuff. Very interesting. Cool. But yeah, go to Sephora. That's the best place to try stuff. Easy.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I genuinely have never once even considered
it. Well, now you know. Dagan, where are you on this? Fragrances.
You know what's crazy? Sephora. Yeah, I mean, in Chris's defense, right? Like we wouldn't even know, right? If I didn't have a wife and a teenage daughter, like I would never know Sephora had stuff for men. They don't even try to cater towards men. They know that's not their demographic, right? It's like such a small sliver. But I wonder, I haven't been to the mall in probably like 3 years. And of course, they've downsized malls in general and stuff. But like, I wonder if you walk in, you know how you're getting to the mall, you walk in through a Bloomingdale's and you used to get berated and attacked by like the perfume ladies. I wonder if that's still a thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Because it is.
So that still goes on.
I walked through because I have to walk through a Macy's to get to my bank. Well, I don't have to, but it's like it's the most comfortable.
Yeah.
In the LA heat, especially. And there are people there, and you could see them just like waiting, like snipers almost. It's kind of. I usually do like a weave, like a pattern. Like I try to be as unpredictable as possible. I look insane when I go through that Macy's, but I don't want them to know like where they can cut me off, but they do it.
Yeah, and they know.
They know. They know
the routes.
They know that map.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally like they've been playing the same PvP map for fucking ever. And so they know all the heat maps. They know exactly like this is the most traffic. This is like where you could get like this is where you can get the jump on that family.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's so funny. Like, so you still get assaulted by these people. It's not aging well. It's like telemarketers. Like, how is this still a thing? But it is still a thing. All right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It could be educational. I mean, I think I have found, well, I'll get to that. I mean, here's the thing. I think when Brad said the topic, I was thinking about this. And I think my taste in like how I smell colognes, deodorants, that sort of thing, I don't think it's changed since I've started. You know, when you're 13, 14, junior high school, I have a son that age. And I remember my parents, you know, gently being like, starting to stink. We need to usher you into this world of like wearing deodorant and wearing cologne. You go through, you know, the usual rites of passage, right? Old Spice. Then Old Spice leads to one of the de facto colognes that everybody knows, like Obsession, right? And then you realize, and then I think Obsession was the first thing that was bought for me. Let's say our grandma worked at Lord & Taylor. So we would get all the things, like all the fancy things, because she got a discount. So I think she was the first one to buy me, let's say I was 14, a bottle of Obsession, Calvin Klein Obsession, which is still around, still like one of the big mainstream colognes, right? But it's so heavy and so musky. And I just realized like early on, like I don't want my nostrils filled with like that overbearing, heavy, oppressive type thing. Like I like something that smells light, summery, springy, like even like Yankee Candle, like those flavor profiles like caramel or pumpkin spice or sugar cookie. Like it's just too much for me. Like I need something much more gentle, maybe a little fruity, little refreshing, like something kind of more airy. I don't want that real musky. So like I think I graduated to like Calvin Klein Escape, Eternity, something like a little lighter, almost feminine, but not quite that type of thing. And, you know, I think that kind of lends itself to like the shampoos. I can't even use soap. Like I have to use Dove, like simple, pure, few ingredients. Like that's my thing. I don't want it tacky. I don't want my skin feeling tacky. I don't want a overbearing smell. Just something that feels clean. You know, it's like the soap version of a white t-shirt. Just give me a white t-shirt. Not anything fancy.
Yeah, white rice.
Yeah,
The best.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's the best. Simple.
Love
Dude,
it.
I
crisp.
I don't mean to hijack it, but what you're saying reminds me of like, I wish Maddie was here because he could corroborate it because we went to the same high school, but like Axe was outrageously like,
oh dude,
like
yeah,
Axe was Axe body spray specifically. Like I can't remember. It was like, I think it was called like Dark Temptation or something. And like everybody had it. And it was just a fucking assault on the senses. Every time you would go into the gym locker room or like walk through the halls, and to the point where like I bet if I smelled that today, it would almost reverse That's So Raven me back into the past, and I would be able to see like a full day vividly from like 2008.
It smells like that period of time.
Yeah, that smells unequivocally like 2008, 2009, like that Axe body spray, and it had such a short life because once everybody got out of high school, nobody used it.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah, you graduate to something a little better by then, right? But that's like the fallback. I'm trying to think of what the 80s version of that was, like when I was in junior high school and then getting into high school in the late 80s, early 90s.
What was the brand dig that came in like the green bottle? That was a big one, right? Like the dark green Brute.
Oh, Brute, yes. Brute was the green bottle, because I was thinking Old Spice was a little old for me.
Yeah, like Brute, I feel like was the one in the 80s that was big, right?
Girls,
I wasn't
wore
around, but I
Shalimar.
just remember that being like on people had that.
Brute
like older
is a good
brothers and
call.
shit.
Yeah, that was like a big one back then, for sure. And then, you know what? One thing, Sephora, I think the first time I realized Sephora was like a thing and men could go there for stuff, there was a scent. There was a Japanese designer. And of course, I was like probably in my late 20s. It was Japanese, so I was already like, you know, my radar was up. I was like, oh, Japanese designer. The guy's name was Issey Miyake. And I don't think he ever got too big, but in high fashion, he's known. And I think he was a really interesting dude. I think he just passed like 2 or 3 years ago. I think he was really good friends with Steve Jobs. He was French, Japanese. I think he spent most of his career in Japan, but he was like a big Japanese fashion designer. And I found one of his scents in Sephora, and I thought it was like a Japanese clothing designer that had one fragrance. You know, now that I know more about him, I think he was known for his fragrances, but I thought it was like one of those designers like, oh, I'm gonna get my hands in the fragrances. And he had this specific fragrance that I thought was named after him. I don't think it had a name. I think it was just called Issey Miyake. And it was like the perfect, I don't want to say flavor profile, aroma profile for me. It was very like Calvin Klein Escape, light, inoffensive, just clean smelling. And Helene, this is the sticky wicket with us, because she likes a musky, like a lot of girls, I think. She likes a musky, heavy, very cologne-y type scent. And that's not my thing. And she hated it because she hated this Issey Miyake, even though I loved it, because she's like, it smells like lemon pledge. And I got what she was saying. And I think it was just the way she identified that smell. Like it really bothered her. But for me, it was like the perfect smell. So I couldn't get it because my wife didn't like it. But for me, it was like the perfect, it's what I liked. Because eventually I want to put it on. I want to smell it for a couple of minutes and then I just want it to subside. And I guess that's with anything. Like you don't smell yourself, right? Other people because you become accustomed to it, right? So it's really for other people, right? As long as it's not bothering you. I think that's the big thing with like the shampoo and the soap and the colognes and the deodorant. The only other thing I have for this topic is Helene. This whole, I don't know if you guys are privy to this whole like aluminum free thing in deodorants now.
Stuff.
Like
Yeah.
Degree's not a good thing. Degree Sport. I don't know why. I never did the spray deodorant. I always did the roll-on, and I always did the chalky white roll-on, not the clear. The clear never worked for me. So it was like the chalky white Degree roll-on. I think it was Sport or something. Cool Sport or something. I always liked it. It always worked for me. Didn't smell too strong, and it just worked. I wouldn't get BO, right? Now with this new thing, Helene insists I can't get Degree. I got this new thing. Have you guys seen this native?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Doesn't work. And I'm not a big BO
it's like
guy.
Tom's of Maine or whatever. That shit doesn't work.
Oh, that's a good brand. Good toothpaste.
People always make fun of the deodorant because it's like the hippie deodorant.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But are we at that precipice now where it's like you either wear something that's not detrimental to your body or you wear something that works? Because I'm not, no offense to Native, and we don't have any brand endorsements with them. No shade. This stuff doesn't work. I mean, I'm not a big BO guy, and I still get BO when I wear this stuff.
Yeah, doesn't work.
So we gotta kind of we gotta get to the point where this stuff, the aluminum-free, paraben-free stuff, is effective.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Degree.
Might as well just wear aluminum.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just put some siding under your arms.
Just pour molten aluminum on yourself every time you go outside. That'll mask the BO for sure.
Yeah.
You know what's weird though about this? Have you guys noticed that you go into a CVS or Dwayne Reed, whatever, and you see the price of deodorant? Like I'm talking about the mainstream packed chock full of aluminum deodorant is really expensive now.
Yeah, it is. Everything's expensive.
You would think it would get cheaper because the word is out that this stuff's not good for you. It went the other way.
Yeah.
Like double in price.
Well, if demand is down, you would lower price maybe, but you
doesn't make sense.
You'd have to get your nut with fewer people.
I don't know, man. It's getting crazy. Are there fragrances that like they're not technically like colognes or anything, but like fragrances that you just happen to like? For instance, like I love the smell of sunscreen just because it reminds me of like beach days going like as like a kid. Like it just like it puts me in that mood for some reason. And it's not something that you would wear like for the purpose of. It reminds me of that Colin, that Seinfeld episode. It's like you want to smell like the beach.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, like the Calvin Klein thing.
Yeah, the Calvin Klein cologne or whatever, or deodorant, or I can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, I do like this. I like the smell of going to the beach. And like I love that shit.
Definitely. But yeah, it's like warm, you got the coconut.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like
the coconut.
Right?
I don't like coconut really at all outside of that context.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you won't eat it, but you like the aroma.
I like the aroma in that specific context. Like I've had like coconut water, and I've had like the coconut shavings on chocolate, and I'm like, this isn't working. Whatever this is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's a whole vibe, because I think that's an interesting point. Like it's the sights, the sounds, the smells, the heat, right? Because that wouldn't work if it was like 20 degrees outside and you said that smell wouldn't be the same thing. It's like a combination of things. It's a whole energy.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I don't know if I have anything like that. Smells take me back. You know what's funny? I'll smell something and it'll take me directly back to. I think I've told this story on the podcast before. There was a Chase Bank up in Lincoln Center when I worked in New York. I would walk home back to go back to the subway from work every night. They were carpet cleaning this bank every night. And this specific smell, I would go right back to my friend's house, my best friend's house growing up, because it was the same, I guess, kind of carpet cleaner. And it was like a transport, a warp directly back to being in this my friend John's house. It's funny how smells have that kind of power.
Yeah, smell is the sense closest tied to memory, they say.
It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, instant nostalgia.
Yeah, that and music will trigger it real quick.
I get it all the time with just very smell. Like it's never anything that crazy too. It's always like, oh my god, this I'm thinking of this random thing now because of the way this smells. It is curious thing.
Yeah. Colin, where do you fall on fragrances?
I'm always I have something to say about this, I guess. Just in that funny memories where I remember my dad or our dad slowly giving me like a few bottles of cologne when I was a little kid. When I was like really little, like, you know, the cologne he didn't want anymore. So he'd get like, I was like 5, 6, 7, and he'd be like, here's like a bottle of cologne. And I would keep it on my dresser. Like I was like an adult. Because I remember when I got my communion too, that I got like a gold chain, and I was really excited about that. I had like this chain in a box, and I was just like slowly becoming like an adult. Yeah. Right. That's what I felt. And I remember I don't know, like there's probably like a cologne repository of like people, but the first cologne I remember, you might remember, is called Canoe.
Oh yes.
It was by Dana, which is what I remember about it. Like I don't know if it was like a designer or something like that.
I don't remember that.
Dana, so that's why I remember that. And that was the first cologne. And I kept that bottle with the cologne in it for many years. It might still be around somewhere. And what I remember about it is it was slowly like reducing, like a bottle of bourbon or something, because like the angel share for the cologne was getting absorbed. But and then my dad gave me a few more things too. But I remember being a little kid and be like, what, like, you know, going to church or something, and be like, when can I wear this? And you like put a little dab on you, you know?
Yeah.
And so I've told this story recently in some capacity, just because it's funny and it has to do with cologne. Is I remember being in the Fox Run Mall in New Hampshire, which is one of the dead malls now, like, or dying malls. I saw it actually on a dead mall channel, and I'm not unable to watch the video because I can't go back to the, like, I'm not.
You want to preserve your memories intact.
Yeah, it's too much,
too painful,
and to see it dead or dying is like, oh, it's gonna be rough. It was like so boisterous and alive. But I remember being in like a Macy's or like one of the anchor stores in like 6th grade, and I know it was 6th grade because our sister Allie lived with us in Maine for 1 year, and it was when I was in 6th grade, and she was in the story, and they went to go do something in the mall. So I was in like the cologne section, and they had of like Macy's or whatever, and they had all of these little bottles where you could just kind of spray it and smell it. And I took I don't know why I did this, but sprayed myself once with every bottle.
Oh man.
and then like they came back to get me, and like we walked out, and they were like, you fucking stink. Like
skin's melting off.
What do you like? You can't get in the car like this. I think I had to like go into a bathroom and like wipe a bunch of it off. I don't know why I did that.
It's so funny,
that's always
dude.
like the memory I think of when I think of cologne.
How old? This was 6th grade?
6th grade, I want to say. Yeah.
That is a very 6th grader thing to do, I think.
Yeah, like I don't know why I thought it was interesting, or I was I don't know what I was doing. But my philosophy over time, I wrote a few things down actually, just because I thought, I don't know if this tracks for you guys, is like, it felt like in the 90s. So, because I was, you know, in the middle school, high school, whatever. Mm. It felt like it became okay for men to use sprays. This was pre-Axe and shit like that. But I remember there being like a movement, maybe it was led by women at like Bath and Body Works and other things. Gap had it for a while, but where it was like no perfume, no cologne, but like a spray. Okay. And then it was like a unisex kind of thing in some sense. And it was a little lighter. And I remember people, like my girlfriend in high school used to do this. And that's why I remember, but I remember seeing in movies too, like where she would like spray in the air and then walk into it.
Yeah, the mist.
Right. And I remember that being like a movement. So it's like, yeah, you kind of use this more liberally and maybe even more often. And it's not like a cologne or a scent like that you would go and buy a small volume of, but rather you're kind of like tearing through it. I feel like that's probably rightly identified to the 90s. And then, so men kind of started getting into it around the time that I was kind of coming of age. But I never really got sucked down that path. And then the Axe thing kind of happened too late. Like I was going
to ask you about that.
Because we had a joke, like, or I knew people in my circle that had a joke like about Axe, like later in college and later on, where it's like that's like a young man's smell, you know, like that's like
high school kid,
right? And like cool, or like even frat guy or something like that. And so I just never, because I remember the commercials where like people would be spraying this shit all over themselves. I'm like, that's so much shit.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot.
Yes, it was.
So I gotta say, like, probably beginning in high school and then moving on, like I never really wore any scents. And my whole thing was, I just don't want to be discerned at all. I know that sounds weird, but it's, this is a funny example, but it's like when people are like, oh, you know, chew gum for fresh breath or whatever. It's like, I just don't want to smell your breath at all. Like, I don't need, like, let's just have a neutral kind of approach here.
I get that.
You know, like where I just want to be and you be, and I don't discern you and you don't discern me. I don't smell like anything. But then I started learning this other thing too about specifically deodorant, which was I felt like I many times in my life I've gone in to hug someone or whatever and like, oh, you smell good. And I'm like, I'm not wearing anything. It's like literally like the deodorant is permeating. Like that's almost enough, you know? Where it's like, I'm literally, and I've had even people being like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I'm not wearing anything. I haven't worn cologne since I was probably like 12. You know, I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm just telling you, I'm not wearing any cologne. The deodorant thing's funny though too, Dig, because, and I've told this story in the past. I had a girlfriend specifically that for in college, I was like, why don't you ever smell? Like you don't ever smell. Like you don't have BO. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not much of a sweater. And so I kind of went through life like that. And I would always wear deodorant and stuff anyway. But then when I started taking meds for depression, it started making me sweat a lot more. And then I did start getting BO because I would even go, I would often not even, like if I was just home and not going out or whatever. And like, cause I have like a ritual of like, you know, shower and the deodorant and get ready to go. And but if I'm just home, I'll take my shower and stuff, but I wouldn't even wear deodorant. I'm like, well, I kind of want to breathe a little bit. And you always hear about these things and it's kind of silly, but it's like, you don't want to, people, you know, men get breast cancer sometimes from wearing too much deodorant like that. Like it doesn't, it clogs the pores and it's really bad for you and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, let myself breathe. And then I realized I'm like, I kind of stink. Like I got to wear deodorant just every day. And then it just stopped when I started wearing it every day again, like just even throughout my normal course of action. But it was kind of disappointing because I went all those years without really being a heavy sweater and without really having that problem. So I guess what I'm saying is I just want to be undiscerned.
Right.
Like I just want to be like, neutral. And that's kind of always been my approach. I think the scents are wonderful. Like I it's kind of a self-consciousness thing. I mean, I'll admit that. It's very similar to why like I didn't want to have parties as a child because I was afraid no one would come, even though that wasn't true. Like, of course people would come, but I didn't want to. I never had because I was like, what if no one comes? You know? And it's the same thing with this, where it's like, you know, I don't want people to think that I'm trying to be like, oh, look how notice me. You know,
notice me, senpai.
Yeah, like if you, because Dagan said it, if you put a scent on, you're doing it for someone else, and that's cool.
It becomes that.
But then that's like it's like Instagram. It's kind of about you, isn't it? I mean, and it's about attention for you, and obviously you give attention to other people, but it's a marketplace of that, and so I just choose to not really participate because I don't want people to even think that about me. Which is why when people are like, "Oh, you smell good." Because they're implying something, right? And I'm like, but I'm like, thank you, but I just want you to know that I'm not trying to smell good.
It makes a lot of sense.
You're so fucking neurotic.
I know. I was just like, just take the fucking compliment, man. God.
Just so you know, I'm not wearing a damn thing.
I'm not trying hard to be.
Now, I'm not trying. Now, there are scents that I do like. I don't know anything about perfumes or colognes or whatever, but actually before I move on from that, I just want to say, I find that world really fascinating. Like I've seen a few videos of it, these people that are like very sophisticated and they know all of this stuff and they put all the things together and they make these wonderful scents. And it's obviously a whole huge industry. And these guys are like crazy, like the sommelier style. Yeah. Oh, this is,
I could tell you what's in there.
Right. It's like, oh, this is, you know, pine and whatever. And I'm like, that's so impressive. You know,
that's cool. Crazy.
And it's cool. Like that's the thing I want to be clear about is like, I think it's cool. I just don't think it really fits me. And I look like I'm homeless. What I'm going to put on a musky smell? Like, look at me. You know, so
well, you don't go out either. So yeah.
Like I'll have to clean. I got to cut my hair. Like, like I don't even know what's going on with my hair at this point. But so I wanted to know, like, I'm not like poo-pooing it and being like, I think it's a cool industry and like really impressive, especially for women. You want women to smell. That's the other thing is like perfume and cologne different. Women don't have to wear perfume. I don't really give a shit, but like it fits the femininity of a woman. Yeah. That's part and parcel of it, in my opinion. The male scent is different. So
it's like masculine. More
like,
masculine.
Right. So it's like, again, I think it's maybe even different between the sexes, but I wanted to be clear that I think it's cool. Now, as far as like scents that I actually enjoy, like the clean scents, I've said this many times, but I love the smell of Johnson & Johnson baby powder. Like it's like my favorite smell in the world. I love it. So I use the Dove for Men baby powder scented deodorant, and it's awesome. I love it. It doesn't quite smell like real baby powder, but it's there, and it's like a clean smell.
Might try that.
I love that. I want to smell clean.
I totally agree with you. I love that smell too. Undoubtedly nostalgia from like literally like being literally a baby.
That must be what it is, right? Like it must be something that is in like you're literally introduced to it almost immediately in your life. And it's probably one of the first notable things you smell. And it must be that we all like the way it smells because of that. Like
I think so. Isn't it also like technically poison? Or
yeah, it's like talcum.
Supposedly.
Like Johnson & Johnson got sued for a bunch of
talcum, right?
I'm pretty sure there's like lead or some crazy like strontium 90. Like there's some crazy stuff in baby powder apparently, but like even as recently as I think like maybe 3 years ago, I think I bought baby powder because I saw it and I was like, oh shit, I love the way this smells. I'm going to buy it and I would literally just take it. I literally bought it for no other reason. It was like a small thing, but like I would take it and sometimes I would just like, I wouldn't even put it on anything. I would just like squeeze the bottle and have like the air.
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about because I do that too. Like,
it smells great. It does.
It's like a snuff box for you. Just as baby powder.
Okay. So baby powder is talcum. Talcum is mined and it can be contaminated with asbestos.
Oh, I didn't know it was mined. Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like makes sense, I guess.
Asbestos.
Gotta come from something.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So, so that old chestnut.
Yeah.
So I love that. Like I love that clean, and this goes back to what I was saying about the 90s and the sprays, where it was more of the area like rain, like that. And it didn't smell like rain because rain doesn't smell like anything, but you kind of got the vibe of it, something lighter, more ephemeral. And so I go in that direction for the deodorant, and then for like soaps and stuff, I love just dial. Like one of my favorite scents, and this is a nostalgic ass scent for me too, and I can't explain it, is Dial soap, like orange Dial soap. Smells like childhood. It's very similar. You know what else is? Not that you wash with it, but Palmolive. Makes me feel like I'm in 1987. Like every time I smell it, I'm like, I can't believe this smells like the 80s. I mean, it smells even older than that. Because it's like it's kind of nice, but it's really just like it's like chemically still like they didn't figure it out yet, and they've just never really changed it. It's like it's pleasing, but it's not like what would come later on. So, as people know, well, I don't know if people would know. Why would you know this? If it's come up in the past, I'm very OCD, obviously, and so I have like a ritual in the shower. And what I do is I wash my body with Irish Spring gel on like a loofah, like a poof. And then I take and I wash my hair with Head and Shoulders. And I've done that for many, many years. And it's not for dandruff, although I might not have dandruff because I use Head and Shoulders. Like it might be that kind of thing. But I just always loved it because it was 2-in-1. And I was like, oh, this is just easy. So I might have had that like secondary thing, but that's like all I use. And then I go back over like the crotch area, the armpits and stuff with Dial bar soap before I get out of the shower.
Okay.
Like,
interesting. Thorough. Wow. Very thorough.
And I brush my teeth in the shower and do all that kind of stuff too.
Nope.
Because I brush 3 times a day and all that. Like I try to be very fastidious.
You're peeing in the shower too, aren't you?
Unkempt aesthetically. But like I have to shower every day. Like I have to brush my teeth 3 times a day. I have to like do these certain things. And
you use lotion too, right?
Yeah, I use Lubriderm Blue Bottle lotion, unscented, before I go to bed every night and stuff like that. So I'm very much into these specific brands, and I think I go after them because they're kind of just basic and they're not like overpowering.
Okay.
Because again, I don't want. Now you said something interesting too, which is like an ancillary thing: candles. I used to really like candles, but not so. We have a shit ton of them. We burn them once in a while, but that's another nice way to get the sense. Like go into a Yankee candle store and just smell all the candles. I love doing that. And they have some really cool ones that are almost like baby powder, actually. So there's that too. But yeah, so I appreciate the world of scents. It's a inherently feminine world, which is nothing wrong with that. If men are into it too, I think it kind of belongs more there. I'm more about neutralizing bad scents than smelling good. But I think I smell good probably by virtue of just what I'm using. So
yeah.
That's where I'm at there. Yeah.
Dude, bad BO is something else.
Yeah, it's rough.
Man. It's I've only encountered it maybe like 3 times genuinely in my life where it's just like otherworldly, and you're just like, I think it's like sewed into my brain where it's just like I never want to be this person.
Yeah.
So like I'm really
imagine.
Like I'm really overzealous about that stuff too. Where like I cannot.
Oh yeah, I don't want to smell.
You don't want to offend.
I would never go out. I would never ever really like go to a dinner or do something or go to a family function or something without having like showered right before. Just because it's like I want to present. You don't want people to remember you for those kinds of things. Like you're right, Chris. Like especially in cities, like in a cab or on a subway or whatever. Like once in a while, it's like, how do you smell this bit bad?
Yeah.
Like
and
how could it be?
And Uber is the worst.
Uber,
no. Like that's a tragic event. You know, that's like if you step into it. Most of the time, Ubers are fine, but then like occasionally, like I've had this twice where I've gone into an Uber and it's just like, oh my god, this is. I remember one time I felt like I was maybe going to die. It was so bad.
Wow. But you see it through, you identify it, and you're just like, I'm in, I can't offend this person. I have to see this through.
I just kind of go into a meditative state. And I just like
survival, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Avatar state almost, where I'm like, I'm taking myself somewhere else. Because to linger in the agony of the present is just, it will prove fatal.
That's bad.
Yeah, it's always on long rides too. It's never on like, oh, it's like a 10-minute ride. It's always like 30 minutes or something.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal.
The crazy thing is that you encounter people that smell so bad sometimes where it's like, how could it get this bad? Like this isn't one day.
Right.
There's
No, exactly.
No way. I've told the joke in the past about like the craziest thing is like when you're on the plane in the morning and somean smells on the plane. It's like, how do you smell right now?
Yeah,
that's like, what do you do? What are you doing? That's like I mean, it's tragic in many ways because you smell that and you're like, nobody loves you clearly because nobody you have nobody in your life telling you
stink.
Yeah. Heads up.
Like fix yourself, please.
Yeah.
Like take a shower for Christ's sake. Wash your clothes, like brush your teeth. Do what you got to do.
Use some deodorant.
Yeah. Like use some, like it's not 1,300.
I haven't dealt with that. We all remember the kid in grade school, right? Like I remember the kid exactly. I tell you his name and everything right now, like stank on a daily basis.
Yeah, me too.
For years.
It's sad because it's probably, that's what you'll remember about him. And he probably maybe even knows that. And it's not really his fault. Like he shouldn't have been deployed into the world like that. So it's kind of, it is a sad thing. I remember the dude too. I won't say his name, but I remember.
Yeah. Like Brad said, Pigpen. Like Charles Schultz got that from somewhere. Everybody had a Pigpen. And I had a female Pigpen too. Yeah. Which was actually very sad, actually, because now that I'm remembering the details, she peed herself.
Oh,
that sucked. That actually, and it was late. Like it wasn't like kindergarten; it was like 3rd grade or something. So it was super awkward. Yeah, and I remember my mom coaching me, like, "Oh, so and so, like, you gotta kind of like, you gotta be sensitive, you gotta be empathetic, like, you know what I mean? Teaching me how to be sympathetic instead of like joining in on the making fun and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I never like made fun of the person. I just avoided the person at all costs. Like
brutal,
which is kind of the same thing in some sense, and that was in high school for me. But, which is crazy. Like but for people out there, you got to shower every day.
Daily showers, important.
I love taking a shower. Like, dude, I would live in the shower.
You're a morning shower guy, right? We've talked about this.
I was when I worked a real job. Now I shower like early evening because I wake up,
work out, right?
I wake up, I brush my teeth, and then I go through my day, and then I work out at like 5 or 6, and then I take a shower, brush my teeth again, do it like just as if I'm going out for the day. But that's like my time to like totally clean. And then before I go to bed, before I go to bed is like when I floss and brush my teeth and do all that kind of and lotion and all that kind of stuff. So I have a little bit of a ritual. But yeah, if I'm like getting up to go somewhere, I'll shower in the morning. I just don't want to shower. I would shower, like our dad showers twice a day. And I would do that. And I have done that, like when I worked a real job or something, like landscaping or something. But it's not great for your skin to be in the shower that often. So I try to like really avoid the 2 shower a day thing just for that. Because I really would do that if I thought, but I'm so dry. I'm like a little turtle or something. I'm already so dried out.
I get the same way. Yeah. I don't want to be tacky. I just don't want to be a tacky dude. Like, you know what I mean? That feeling of like residue or And it's not even dirt. It's like the soap. I can't deal with it.
But
it's too much.
But isn't it crazy? Like, all right, so think about, there's like a dude in 1750 and he works on like a plantation and in somewhere in the US or what would become the US. And he discovers that in the future, there's an option for people to have running water in their house, which would be crazy enough for him, where it heats up and you can just clean yourself whenever you want. And you don't do it. And this dude is literally like out there. His wife has to like use a pack animal to drag water from a creek, and then they have to like fire it up, and then the whole family uses the same bath. What I mean? Like they'd be desperate for these conditions, and people don't. It's crazy that people just are like, nah, I'm gonna smell like shit, like it's fucking 1200, and I'm a serf. Like, okay, great.
Dude, that
idea.
must have been so rough back then. Can you imagine?
No.
I thank God. That's what I'm saying. Is like that would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that I really do think I really don't think it's fully possible to really grasp how terrible things must have smelled back in those times. Like we see it and like they try to convey it with like, oh, look how dirty everybody is. Like, I bet you have no concept of how bad that shit was. I didn't understand how we even made it this far as a species, to be honest with you, because I just would have been. I can't imagine how people just weren't physically repulsed by each other to the point where like they wanted nothing to do with each other.
Yeah, stop procreating and everything.
Yeah, like oh my god, that's another layer of just like Jesus Christ. Before hygiene,
pre-hygiene.
Yeah.
Pre-hygiene sexual intercourse is hell, I would imagine.
Oh no.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
You can just smell
Not
it.
good.
Not good.
Not good.
Let's end the fragrance conversation there. That's it. We're done there.
Curb. Just took that topic and curb
I like it. I like
That's
it.
I'm satisfied though.
All
Thank
right,
you.
awesome. Chris, moving on to your topic. Oh, this one cuts deep for me, but I like this. I like this one. This one's going to be cathartic in a lot of ways. Yeah. Take it away when you're ready, dude.
Yeah, so I guess I wanted to bring phone calls into the equation because I feel like they're just so we have so many different ways of communicating now, especially like there's obviously like video calls, there's like immediate text messages, there is the classic phone call, obviously in person as always, and I've always felt kind of weird in some sense because I remember liking phone calls when I was a kid. I would be on the phone all the time. And then at some point, it just snapped where it's like, now I really never want to be on the phone. In fact, it's probably my least favorite way of communicating with anybody. I would rather either be in person, do a video call like this, or text somebody. Phone call is like the last thing for me. Yeah. And for me, it really it does come down to like the amount of information you have about the tone of the conversation that you're having. In person, you've got everything. You've got all the communication. You've got like you're in person. You understand kind of the tone. You kind of can feel the energy of the other person. You kind of know what's going on. You can read the face and you can read the intonation of the voice. You have all the information you need in person. With a video call, you can't necessarily feel the energy, but like you can read what's on the face. You can hear there's intonation. There's an immediate back and forth. It's not like turn-based conversation like a text message is. But there's something about the phone call that feels uncanny to me. And I don't really know what it is. It feels like, okay, I can hear your voice, but I can't see you. I don't know what the energy is like in your space. I feel blind in some way having a conversation on the phone because it's not even like a text message conversation where I'm not even, okay, like I don't have any information about a text conversation. Right. That's the blindest you can be with a conversation. You can misread all sorts of tones and everything. But at least I'm not locked in to no one expects an immediate response.
Right.
You know, so there's like less of a social game there. And so for me, I've just found I really don't like phone calls. I really hate them. If I get one, it better be a big deal. You know, and if it really is just like a friendly conversation, a friendly chat, video call, FaceTime me or something. Because like I don't like this lack of that that wall of just like, I don't know what to read. I don't know what mood you're calling in. I don't know what's going on. And so I don't know. I just kind of want to bring this forward and see how we feel, whether or not it changes based on. I would imagine like the feeling kind of changes based on age, demographic, all sorts of things. But yeah, I guess I'll throw it over to Colin because I'm most curious. But yeah, I don't know.
God, I hate
Take it wherever you want.
I hate it. It's funny that we are always going to call like our iPhones, and it's iPhone obviously, but it's like the phone. Where's your phone? But we don't use it like that anymore. We need a better name for it because it's the thing that you can talk to someone on, but you usually really don't. Yeah, it's funny, man. I was thinking recently about communication, and I've been watching stuff about, as one does, about the Mayflower and like the early Pilgrims in the United States, like documentary stuff. And it's fascinating to me just thinking, not that it was unique to them, it was unique to everyone in this era, but just the idea that like you couldn't communicate, like no one had any fucking clue what was going on anywhere else but where they were. And you would get letters and all of that. But if you were like in a colony somewhere, you were like sometimes literally on an island by yourself. And that's like a really crazy level of disconnection that I'd never want to experience. But that was like very normal back then. And then in the 19th century, mid 19th century, telegraph started. And I imagine that probably blew everyone's fucking mind. And where it's like, oh yeah, like we really could communicate from San Francisco, early San Francisco in the 1840s to Washington, D.C. in no time at all. It would have to relay a few times, but someone can send you messages and you get it in minutes. And that must have been like, holy fuck. Like, yeah. That's insanity. And I think that phone calls were like the logical next step. And I think that they made sense. They still make sense. It's like, do what you want. I don't care. But in terms of like the evolution of like instantaneous communication, it makes sense. But I think when email comes in, and email is really from the 70s, but when it becomes big in the 90s, I almost feel like the need for some phone call stuff lessens. Yeah. And then you get into cell phones, and again, cell phones were from the 80s, but become big in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then T9 text messaging, and then iMessage, and then social media, and all these different things. And before you know it, you're back to text. Just like you really were during the letter writing era. It's almost like full circle. But now it's instantaneous, but the way you used to communicate. And as opposed to like Morse code or audio.
Sure.
And so I just think phones, like many other forms of communication, are like a telegram. It's like, it's antiquated. And I actually, it's funny you bring this up because I saw a video recently, just one of these TikTok style videos that circulate on Twitter of these two girls, like little girls, not little, maybe one's like 10, one's 14 or whatever, using a landline and like being shocked by how it works. Like that it actually rings and like you can call a cell phone with it. And it was cute, and it goes to show you that a younger generation is coming up that don't want to use it or at least aren't familiar with it. And I get that because I don't either. I had a few moments in life where I really had to, like when my house was being built and all that kind of stuff was happening, like these people are like on the phone and like want to talk to you. And it's annoying as fuck because in my opinion, it's like, can we just email or text? But I get it. It is the quickest way to deal with shit. And I know that because I call things every once in a while. I have to call the pharmacy. I have to call whatever, a doctor's office, and you have to talk, or you have to, you have a problem with a bill or something. You have to talk to someone, and it is an easy way to get a solution, but it's not the ideal. And in interpersonal communication with people, I just, what I don't like about phone calls is the assumption of, and I know this is weird for some people, but letter writing and telegraphs were kind of like read like letters, and it was at your leisure, right? And then phone calls require your active participation at the moment that someone else wants to talk to you. And I feel like that broke some social norms.
Yeah.
About commanding other people's time. And I grew up in a time where you would just call people and talk to them on the phone. I did that for fucking thousands of hours probably in my life.
Right.
My girlfriend in high school, so let's talk on the phone for no reason.
Yeah, for 2 hours. I've had like 7-hour phone calls like that.
Right, exactly. And it's cool and that's interesting, but it's archaic in some weird sense. And what I like now is with text messaging is just, I just kind of, and the people that I text with understand this, where I don't have to explain it to them, is like, I'm going to get back to you, but it's not going to be right now, probably, unless I'm literally on my phone. I'll let these things stack up and I'll return them like they're correspondence almost, unless it's something urgent or it's like our parents. And the only time I ever talk on the phone is when my parents call. My parents still want to talk to me. And so I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I talk to my mom on the phone. I talk to my dad on the phone. And I don't mind that. And I don't mind talking to other people on the phone, but I find it awkward personally when friends call me, because I'm like, even if we're really close, it's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And
they know you and they know how you feel. So. Right.
And I feel like it is, I guess, in some way inherently antisocial. But to me, I'm like, no, I feel like this is archaic. Like, just text me.
I'm going to start calling you every day.
Yeah, because I have friends that like to talk on the phone. Like Ramon likes talking on the phone. Eric Castro likes talking on the phone. Gio Corsi likes talking on the phone. Like, and I try to meet them halfway once in a while. My friend Nate will like to drop. But to me, I'm like, I don't. And I do think it bothers some people. It's like, I don't mean it to be antisocial. And again, I guess inherently, definitionally, it is antisocial. But I'm like, it's not like I missed it. I grew up in this era. I grew up in the era when you just fucking answered the phone. Hello? You have no idea who's on the other end. Like,
yeah,
you're just like, call. It's not that glamorous. It's just like, it's massively distracting.
Yeah.
And it eats up time. And so I love so I guess I think we're in the perfect place now where it's like correspondence is endless and there's endless ways to get in touch with people. But I like that it's like voluntary in terms of like, I'm going to opt in. So I treat it like I'm a Victorian man sitting at a desk in the morning and like writing my correspondence. It's like, okay, I have like these 6 text messages. I got to answer all these text messages. And then I'm done with texting for the day. It's like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I just think there's too many demands on other people's time. And that's the thing that bothers me. FaceTiming, because I saw that in your email. It's like, don't FaceTime me. In fact, I have FaceTime turned off. So if you FaceTime me, it just sends me a text message saying someone's trying to FaceTime me.
It's worse than a call in some ways. Because it's still everything wrong with the call, but which is with a video component added in.
Right. And like the awkward, now you're holding it awkward. It's like, I don't want to do this. Like just leave me be. My favorite way of corresponding with people, honestly, is email. Because I feel like it's the way you can say the most. You can show anyone anything you want, a picture, a video. Say what you need to say, and then it just goes and sits in their inbox. And then they ping it back when they're ready. And it's and there's like a whole list of everything that everyone said. And to me, that's like the perfect way to correspond. And I love email. So
I hate it so much.
Yeah, I know you do. I know a lot of people do, and I appreciate that. I think a lot of it comes from probably my job as a journalist.
For sure.
But although, and this is a funny kind of thing, is like I would call people when I was a journalist because I wanted to surprise them. I mean, it was for the element of surprise to try to get them to say something. Like call Sony, PR person, and be like, hello, hey, this is Colin. What do you think of this? Like literally no time to think about it, no time to bring,
that's pretty cool.
Like go into a conference room. That's when I was very aggressive with it. And in no situation, or if like, I get it in certain professions. I'm a mechanic. Your car's done. Like I get it. I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. For me, it's like, it's just.
Still do that. They still do that with text mostly now, though.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. So I'm going to see a new eye doctor, and we actually had to cancel this last week because of the snow. But like, we're going to go next week. And these people, Mike has set it up for me, and then they text message me, and they're like, "You have an appointment? Are you 1 to confirm, 9 to cancel?" So I'm like 1 and hit enter. And it's like, okay. Then the next day I get an email, and it's like, confirm your appointment, and I'm like, okay. And I click the little box and confirm it. The next day they call me. I don't answer it because I don't know the number. They leave me a voicemail and say, we've been trying to get in touch with you. We are trying to verify your appointment, and we're going to have to cancel if we don't hear back from you by end of day today.
That's maddening.
And I called them back and I'm like, you text messaged me and emailed me. Like I said I was going to be at the appointment. And they're like, yeah, we just want to be sure. Sometimes they don't go through.
That is so crazy.
How careful.
I had this thing. So this is a very Larry David thing where I had this thing in my mind, and this is Colin getting older and wiser in some sense. Because 10 years ago, I definitely would have done it. It would have been funny. but I would have had to go to a different eye doctor, probably. Where I wanted to be like, so I'm going to be there. Do you guys want me to send you like a registered letter? So that you guys know that I'm going to be at the appointment, or are we like totally clear now? But in my mind, I'm like, I can't, because that's starting off on the wrong foot with these people.
Yeah. You don't want to go there.
Yeah. Your mind says that. Of course.
Or like a younger Colin would have definitely said, like, definitely known that he was going to say it, and then he was going to have to go find a different eye doctor because it was going to be too awkward.
Yeah.
You know,
that's so funny.
Because I want to be like, yeah, do you want me to send like a fucking registered, letter, and you get a return receipt and shit? Like, I'll be at the fucking eye appointment. You know?
That is irritating that some of that stuff is so, I guess, flimsy. It's like not really as rock solid. Like the fact that they still ultimately rely on the phone call at the end to do it because everything else is so, I don't know. Emails to me, it's, I don't like that they're so fucking compulsory. Like the fact that like, I don't like that I have to have an email address. I really loathe that. Like, I don't like that that's a thing that like, oh, you need, I remember when you could just make an account somewhere. And if you just remember the password, that was it. And I really, really fucking preferred that to like, oh, get an email. And then sometimes that you can't have more accounts. Oh, that account is already associated with this fucking email. Sorry. Oh, and now I got to make another fucking email address. It's so, especially with like, if you're dealing with YouTube channels, it's like so fucking irritating because it's just like, oh, great. I got to make 4 email accounts to make a different channel. Like, what are you doing? What is this shit?
I've started. It's funny you say this, Chris, because I've started getting emails over the last, maybe not year, 6 months, from 2 different email accounts I made where Google's like, we're deleting this email account.
Yeah, I just got one of those yesterday.
Because like you haven't signed into it in 7 years because you made some random YouTube channel with it or whatever. And you don't care. And you don't even remember the login information anymore. I'm like, yeah, delete it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. We just had one. I just got one for like, I guess like an old Snark Tank email that we just ended up kind of abandoning. And they were just like, you haven't used this in 2 years. We're going to delete it. I was like, all right, I guess thanks for notifying me, but this is just another example of just a waste of like, why do I have this? Why do I need to have this? Why can't you just wire it all through? I don't know, whatever. It's getting beside the point. But, yeah, I guess, I don't know. Brad, I'm curious where you stand on this.
Phone calls, I greatly prefer to avoid them if possible. Just, you're talking about, Chris, it's like, you don't see the person. You don't know their body language or anything like that. So there's a huge disconnect there. I will totally use phone calls for some things. Like, it is just faster to get things done, especially like if something's more urgent and people take a while to respond and you're just like, why? I got to know kind of thing now. So it does have its place, but I try to avoid it at all costs. FaceTiming, unless I'm talking to like girlfriend or something like that, or like nephews and nieces. Yeah, psychopath behavior. I don't want anything to do with that.
You better be damn close to me.
Yeah, something better be in. Yeah. You better be close to me, or something catastrophic better be happening. Because like the whole thing of just being like this, holding your phone, talking to someone, and everyone can hear it super easily. Yeah, I don't like that.
That's why I have it on my iPad. Well, I would never do that in public, but I just have it on my iPad. Like whenever I get a FaceTime, I'll just answer it on the iPad. And you understand that you're stuck here. You're on. I'm not taking you with me to the other room. Sorry.
Right.
But I don't know what this is, but there's something about people using speakerphone in public and just talking on it like this, just walking around Target like this, where everyone can hear their conversation.
People are fucking rude, dude.
Do you guys see that a lot? I actually don't see that a lot. Really?
I do. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know what it is.
That's so crazy.
Something where I'm at. I don't know. It's just chaotic. Just don't do that, guys.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear your whole conversation.
It's bad.
People have headphones for things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you have headphones, totally fine. No big deal.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
But like just walking around speakerphone, it's insane in public. It's insane.
It is. Yeah.
Text messages are great. I do love text because the thing about text, I guess, like if you're on an iPhone or whatever, and you could see if someone read it, or if they read your message, they take a long time to respond. So I'm very
you
paranoid.
Leave people on read.
Yeah,
I just don't do that to
those.
I don't like to leave them on read. Like you can see it, so I don't open up the whole text right away until I'm ready to respond, so I don't look like an asshole. But
I'm saying, why don't you just shut that off?
That's smart.
I don't know. I haven't even thought about it, but it just freaks me out. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to open this properly, I'm going to respond.
That is the thing I hate most about text messages. Like because the thing for me is like, I don't like having the notification bubble up. Right.
Yeah.
Like it bothers me to see like the red dot next to my text messages. I like to clean them out. So oftentimes I'll see that I have 5 messages and I'll like go through them all at once and I'll read them and I'll be like, oh, those are messages that I got. Okay. And then I'll mean to respond, but I'll just forget because the main goal is to just get rid of the notification. Like I hate the notification. And then sometimes I'll just like I'll leave people on red for days and then realize like, oh shit, fuck, I forgot. But I do turn it off. I turn off the when I remember, or if I care enough about like, you know, if I don't give a shit if it's like
I have it off as a default and I'll turn it on if I want to make a point to someone.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
It's like a passive aggressive red.
Yeah, you can use
that.
it.
Is what read receipts are. It's the most passive aggressive thing ever.
Yeah, you could use that.
You could, if you disable it, they can't tell. Okay.
When I broke up with my ex years ago, she left me on red. Like after we were dating, like if we had to correspond or whatever. And I was like, that was when I realized I'm like, oh, this is like a bludgeon.
Yeah,
like you use as a weapon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've used it in that regard a few times, but not typically.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm disabling that shit. But texting, is like the best thing we've done in a long time. We've gone back to just basic text, and I like that a lot. I like talking to people in person way more. Like,
yeah.
Instance like ordering a pizza or something like that. It is way more efficient to call someone. To order, like back in the day,
I agree.
Before there was online orders and all that.
Yeah, I was gonna say because online ordering, that's the way to make
online order is the
fucks
best.
It's
the best thing ever.
Yeah, and again, it's not that to me is an antisocial. To me, Brad, that is like this is the best way for me to communicate the information accurately to you to understand and read.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why would I want to call in the pizza order when I can just literally write it out and there's no excuses?
Yeah.
I like the call in.
You like the
order.
call?
Yeah, I like to call specifically the pizza place.
Yeah, me too.
Because it just like this is like the last thing that I can cling to from like for a world that no longer exists. I can still call Tony up and be like, yeah, let me get a large pepperoni.
You know what, Chris? I think it's like some PTSD I have because I did work at a pizza place when I was like 18. And just some of the people that fucking call in can't understand what the hell they're saying. They're way too quiet, or
they don't
speak English very well. And it's just like it's fucking chaotic around you. It's horrible.
I could see that. I always made a point. I always I took it to a point of pride at how quick my pizza order phone calls were.
That's good.
Like they were like 20 seconds.
Yeah, some people were really good about it.
Yeah, keep it tight.
Yeah,
spoke clearly, knew their order, didn't sit on the phone being like, didn't know what they're doing. Yeah, you got to keep it all business. If you're calling, you got to know what you're going to say.
Yeah, like
large pepperoni pie for pickup.
Yeah,
that's it. Oh, it'll be 20 minutes. Sick.
What I remember is, Dave, you'll appreciate this. Do you remember that there was a place on South Country Road called the Pizza Shop? SHOPPE.
Yes. Yeah.
And they would deliver, but they would only deliver in Bellport, and we lived in Brookhaven, but the road like just went from one town to the next. And this was in the era where like if you called them and they're like, oh, so what's your address? And it's like, oh, this in Brookhaven. And they're like, oh, we won't deliver to you. So we just started lying and saying we were in Bellport, but you could get away with it because they really didn't know any better, you know?
Oh.
And so I was like, yeah, we're down in Bellport on a Woodland Avenue.
That's amazing.
And that's what I always think about is like, you have to like even just know where you're going. I remember delivery places just have the huge maps near the
phone. I remember that. Oh God. Yes.
So they had to figure out where the fuck they were going, and you have to get the cross street and all that kind of stuff.
So much more difficult back then. Now you just type it in your phone, you're good to go.
Yeah, it was great. It's great. And like you could literally never see. That's what I love. Like Micah and I don't really do delivery very often. She cooks, I would say, 6.5 nights a week. Right. We might like go, we when it's a nice route, we'll go out every Friday, but we don't order in very often.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do, it's like Chipotle or pizza usually. And you could just order on the Chipotle app and then do contactless delivery, and like you never even see or talk to anyone. It's perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect. It's great for everyone. See, because people are like, oh, that's so whatever. And I'm like, no, they don't want to talk to you either.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like the delivery driver wants to talk to me?
No, we don't.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, no, like this is great for all of us to have it this way, in my opinion.
Yeah. We've come a long way. So that's a lot of good shit. I don't miss talking on the phone all the time though. I don't miss it. No, thank you. I'm good. We've moved on beyond that. We're,
it hasn't aged well.
1900s anymore.
I think I miss liking talking on the phone more than I like talking on the phone. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
Like, Discord's like phone now. People use Discord like the phone now.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
But even then, it's so funny. Like, do you guys do party chat and all that kind of stuff? Because even to me, I'm like, like, I don't want to do this either. Like, this is a phone call. I don't want to do this. This is indistinguishable from a phone call.
There's different. I feel like there's a difference between a phone call and like a bunch of people just hanging out. You know, like digitally or through. It's more like a conference call, which is kind of in some sense a little bit more like serious.
Yeah.
My friend still, my best friend in the world, he still does this. He'll call me like normal. And it's always, I always love talking to him because it's funny that he even calls in the first place. He's an entertaining guy. But he's like, yeah, man, you coming? You gonna go be online tonight? And I'm like, yeah, maybe. It's like, okay, cool. Let me get our buddy Whisk on this conference call, and he'll add somebody to our call.
Oh man,
like three-way call.
Yeah, a phone call. It's like still to this day, and it happens every like maybe like once or twice a month, but like. It's so funny every time because no one every time somebody else picks up the phone, they never expect two people to answer.
Never.
No.
And it's always like, what the fuck is it? What's happening? And it's always like a fun, like flashbang to throw at somebody. But but he's also very aware of what he's doing.
Yeah, that guy's a psychopath.
That was a novel concept for a minute.
He's great, but he's crazy.
That's hilarious. Oh, dude, that's hilarious. I echo that energy, though. I'm with Chris. Like the mom and pop pizza shop's got to be the phone call, but the corporate Chipotle, if we're ordering from Outback, like the chain restaurant, definitely going an online order, 100%.
Not calling it Chipotle.
Yeah. Pizza plate, the pizzeria. I don't know. I gotta make the call.
Too much trauma.
And they want to the pizzerias. They're busy. They don't want to be on the phone long.
No.
So it's such a pleasure to call them. They don't want to be on the phone. You don't want to be on the phone, so it's perfect.
They want to be on the phone less with you than you want to be on with them.
It's gonna.
Yeah, when the phone rings, everyone's just like "fuck" every time.
Chris, you know what you said though, man. This is for me with the phone. First of all, it's comforting to hear this hate for talking on the phone. It's good to hear it's not just me energy because I have a serious problem with talking on the phone. Like I think I actually have issues with it, but I remember being a kid. Now I'm old, right? So we have the cross-generational perspective here. But as a kid, I definitely didn't mind it / even enjoyed it. The only time I was made to talk on the phone that I didn't enjoy as a kid was when a relative that I didn't know very well got me a present. And I had to call them for birthday, and I had to call them to thank them.
Oh, damn.
So like an aunt or like certain people on the dad side of my family that we didn't see a lot. And I had to make a call and be like, oh, Poppy, thank you so much for the sweater type of thing. Super awkward. Now, they didn't keep me on the phone long. My parents knew that, it was going to be
let me ask you this. Did your parents do like the maneuver my parents did, where my parents, like my mom would call them and talk to them for a bit. They'd just hand me the phone for a minute.
Yep.
Say thank yous. Give it back to them.
Yes.
They took care of the rest.
At 100%. They would never let you do the...
Yeah, you don't have to call them up.
A raw call.
yeah, the raw call.
That would just be mean. That would just be like child abuse at that point.
Yeah.
No, that was the only time. Like even as a kid, like talking to my grandma and grandpa on the phone, or my aunts and uncles that we were close to, or friends as we got old to be teenagers, or meeting girls. Like it was that I never minded it. I never really did. And I remember... my best friend, my two best friends of my block, my best friend in the world lived directly across the street. I remember having like phone call hangs with him. We could have just went out our front doors.
Mm-hmm.
So we, talking on the phone in the 80s, it wasn't a big deal. We were shooting the shit. We didn't see each other in school that day. We'd hop on the phone. Like it wasn't a big deal. And our dad worked for like 3 or 4 days at a time when I was a kid. So the only way to talk to him is when he gave us a ring from the firehouse, and I got to talk to him at night or else I wouldn't talk to him for days on end. So it was becoming an adult that really gave me problems with the phone. It's interesting to hear different generational perspectives on it though, because I think like Colin was saying, our parents still like to talk on the phone, which is a big part of my problem. But I think anywhere beneath that boomer line, I think everybody pretty much, a lot of people, the majority of people feel the same way about the phone below that, born in the 50s sort of threshold. But my thing with the phone is this. It's also ironic because I love a hang. Like I love an in-person hang. I could be a very extroverted social people, friends, family, conversation, drinks, no drinks, stories, catching up, hours on end, whatever. I love it. You know what I mean? Like I really love that kind of thing. So it's ironic that I don't like to do it on the phone. The phone is, like it's almost like crossed over into phobia territory for me. And the big thing is with me, with, family and close friends, is that the big problem is the buildup, because I don't get on the phone for so long that I can't just make the 5-minute catch up phone call, because I've already been blowing off this person, calling this person for weeks. So it's like at that point, I can't even stay on the phone for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I have to do the 20, 25 minute, 35 minute call. And the people that are close to me that miss me, that want to talk to me on the phone, in a way, it's kind of an honor, right? Because I feel like, how can anybody enjoy this? So the fact that they want to talk to me on the phone already means a lot.
Right.
And number two is they tell me, like my mom, my dad, my Aunt Joni, the people that I'm really close with will tell me, dude, just call, stay on the phone for 5 minutes. Like they'll be the first one to say it, just so we can have like we could get on a program where we could talk regularly. And I'll be like, all right, that's cool. But the thing is, I blow it off for so long that becomes impossible. That's where I'm shooting myself in the foot. So I got to get on that program and just get through that painful period, and then build that head of steam and say like, all right, we're going to talk, Aunt Joni, Mom, whatever. We're going to talk every Saturday night. We're going to talk every Sunday evening, whatever. And just get on that program of like, but because I don't want to be on the phone for a long time. I just don't. I don't even know what it is. We could just like split the coconut and get inside Dagan's head and see what the problem is and what, the roadblock is there. I don't know what it is. I just don't. I don't know if it's a waste of time, if it's like Colin's saying, it's like this. It's this unreasonable request of your time.
It is. It is.
Kind of is.
It's something like that, man. It is. And I don't know, like, I feel like there was like a stereotype for a while. And I'm not really sure exactly which generation this is true or how this was established, but like the idea of like, oh, there's an entire generation only comfortable on Discord and they can't like, they have a panic attack when they order a pizza on the phone, or like they can't like,
yeah.
And I feel like literally the exact opposite, despite the fact that I am a very like internet person. Or like I don't mind Discord really, like it's fine, but like I actually find a Discord to be like kind of in the same vein of a phone. Like I don't mind it if it's like a lot of people, because that kind of makes it feel like, I don't know, that changes the energy dramatically to me. It also is probably because I'm used to it from like Xbox Live party chats. Like that probably inoculated me in some way, where it's like I would never have an Xbox Live party chat with one other person. You know what I mean? It's insane, but there's something about that where I'm just like, yeah, I'm infinitely more comfortable in person than I am in any other, like a video call, a Discord call, a phone call, a FaceTime. It feels all of it feels insane. But then I feel like there's a generation literally beneath me that like might actually like completely feel the opposite. Mm-hmm. Right? They're socialized for a Discord. Actually, it's probably like how a lot of them met their first real friends.
I think that's definitely true. Yeah. I mean, I could think of how I have a 14 and an almost 18-year-old, and I could think of their interactions with the phone. They're never on a phone call. Never. I mean, it's the pocket computer, it's the texting, it's the TikTok, it's social media, it's YouTube, it's all the other things.
Yeah.
Even FaceTime. Like my daughter and her boyfriend, when they're not together, which they always are, they're attached at the hip. But it's FaceTime call. It's never just a voice call. And my son's never on the phone. He's always interacting with the phone, but he's never on the phone.
Right. Yeah.
So it's interesting how it evolved. I think the old school analog audio phone call has just it's aging out. It's just completely aging. The other fascinating thing is, I'm sure, am I talking to well, Brad, you live at home still. You live with mom and dad. Mm-hmm. Do they have a landline?
No, not anymore. No, they kind of do. It's like a cell phone now. They don't ever use it, and I don't know why they had it.
Oh, it's a home cell phone? It's a third cell phone?
The only reason they had it is because of the cable provider we have or something just gave it to them or something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
But that's it. They don't ever talk on it.
It's like a begrudging landline kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's exactly what it is. Yeah.
There's something about it to me. Like, I'm just thinking about from this perspective, which is odd, but I'm in the suburbs, so I guess it speaks to where I'm at. They're building a huge house down the block. I could see it from my walk. I mean, it's a massive house, gorgeous. And I'm thinking, wow, this is not like I grew up. Like, that house may not have a landline put in it. That's fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's the same thing when you're a younger person and you're moving into an apartment. You're not going to have a landline. Why have it? It's obsolete.
Yeah,
it's
mom still has hers, and it's like, why? And it'll ring when we're there every once in a while. I'm like, what is like?
That's weird.
What are we in an office? Like, I don't understand. Like, what is going on here with it? Like, why do you have this?
Yeah, because she has a cell phone. She just talks to her friends or whatever, probably on that.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's again, I to Dagan's point, I think some people are just, older people are stuck in a certain way. As I've said many times, like my mom still watches TV and it drives me crazy.
She does.
Yeah, my parents do too.
Not because like do what you want, but I'm like, Mom, it's cool if this is what you want to do, but you're being like, it's like 15 minutes of ads. You also have all these subscriptions. Like half the stuff you're watching is on YouTube and you could just watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? She still watches it just on TV?
I always think I use this example all the time when we bring it up, but it's like she loves Dr. Pimple Popper, which I think is a great show too.
She loves all
but
those
she
shows,
doesn't understand. I'm like, Mom, that began as a YouTube channel. Like it is still a YouTube channel. Like they made it into a TV show, but you can just go watch all of it.
There's something I think about the fact that it's happening with or without you that I think is appealing to that generation. Like where it's like
the radio.
Like I could just turn it on and I'll see what's happening at this very moment.
Yeah, sure.
As opposed to seeking something out and making a committed decision to like start it from the beginning. And because I remember I found this app. I didn't use it for that long because I couldn't figure out how to get it on my TV, but I totally would have. Where there was this app that you could use on a PC. I think it might have been a browser where it was like YouTube TV. And the idea was that like you could flip through like YouTube videos and it would be like happening like live, like TV. And I loved it. It was actually really awesome. You found like all this weird shit.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
And there is something about that. The like just flipping through shit without necessarily knowing what it is you're looking for. I think we're more purposeful with what we choose to watch. It's like, oh, I'm going on YouTube because I want to see this thing.
Yeah.
I'm almost never like, oh, I wonder what's on YouTube. I'm usually going to YouTube for a specific reason.
That's so funny because you and I were just talking about that recently in another context. And I was telling you that I'm on YouTube every day for hours, either passively or actively. And I would say 19 out of 20 things I watch are fed to me in the For You.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like I actually don't.
Really?
I subscribe to a bunch of shit. There's algorithms that are working, that are at play, that are showing me what I want to see.
Oh, yeah.
But I constantly just fall into these crazy rabbit holes because it just seems to, nothing knows me better than YouTube. Where it's like, you want to watch some coin collecting video?
But do you initiate?
I do.
But do you initiate that journey with a specific thing in mind?
No, like what I think is happening is that it's finding like, I think it began, I've said this before, like I didn't really start becoming a YouTube consumer until very late. Like I always say Dagan was on, and you were too, obviously, Chris, but Dagan was on YouTube like really early.
Yeah.
And like
early.
was using it, almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, no, it was really like 18, 19, even long after I started putting content on it, that I actually start using it. And so I think I fed it certain inputs, and then it's like fight videos, Karen freakouts, video games, sports, football, like all these random inputs. And then it just starts spitting shit out to me. So it's like, over the years, it's like, you want to watch a dude cut his lawn? and then I click on that and it's like, oh, okay. How about the dude that clears clogged pipes? And then it's like, how about the guy that cleans dirty carpets? And then it brings you to like, oh, here's some sports stuff. So now we're in here. How about a documentary about sports? Oh, now there's a little historical angle. So now we're going to feed you a little history. And I think it's just been this self-fulfilling prophecy of pure Colin.
That's so interesting.
It is. It's because it works. Like I'm not saying it's all good and some of it's not brain rot, but it's like, it's showing me things that I want to see and actually introducing me slowly to new things. So it's actually broadened my horizons in a lot of different ways, which I appreciate.
It does.
So you operate kind of like, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but you operate kind of like cable TV.
Right. That's exactly, that's what I was saying. I was going to say earlier was, there's like, it's a mode of that where I'm opting in by pressing play, but it is just a series of things. And what I think is so brilliant about it, it's very similar to Spotify's mix, where you can set it to mix like both your songs and songs that they think you would like. And YouTube's kind of similar, because it's like, oh, there's Rich Eisen and there's, Company Man and all the things that I like, but interspersed, there's like, what the fuck is that? And then I click on that, and now I'm like really into body cam videos. So it's and then they have that little thing at the top where it starts showing you all of the things. So it's like, history, body cam videos, freakouts, like, and then you just click on those things and it just shows you all this new stuff.
Freakouts as a genre is hilarious. Yeah. I don't know. I operate so like I go on YouTube with the intent, like I'll put it on my console, right? I'll be eating something, or like, my food will get here, or I'll finish making breakfast or whatever, and I'll put on YouTube while I eat. And it's usually like I'm turning on YouTube because I want to see the Digital Foundry Kingdom Come Deliverance thing, and I'll click that, and then maybe I'll get sucked into other things. But it's usually stuff that I've seen before. It's usually like channels that like I know about, and I'm actively subscribed to. It's like, oh, there's an Any Austin video about, do the rivers in Skyrim connect? Have you seen that guy, by the way, Colin? I think you'd like his stuff a lot, because he does these fake conferences at the end where he like goes in depth about like how like the water in Skyrim is like not good, and the power lines in Grand Theft Auto 4 don't actually connect to anything. This is a problem for the local municipality. It's like it's pretty good. It's like it's what you'd like his stuff, I think. But it's usually that kind of thing. It's like I have something in mind, and then I stay in that general trend. And if I find myself deviating from it, it's like I got to go do something else, because I'll get sucked into like a hole where I'm just almost like a scroll hole where I'm just like, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
It can get like that. I like it. I like the way it curates. Yeah, YouTube's pretty fascinating. You know what? It definitely curates in terms of topics and interests. But you know what it's been doing for me lately? I don't know if it's been doing the same thing for you guys. It's definitely introducing me to, probably along the lines of interests still, but it's definitely ushering in smaller channels. Because I'll click on something that has like a competent thumbnail, and I'll just think, oh, this is a relatively big channel with a couple 100,000 subscribers or whatever. And it'll be like a video with 180 views, and it's doing more and more of that, which is nice just in terms of finding new things. But in terms of small creators getting a little exposure, just kind of neat. It never really did that before, but always show me the big things, and it tended to show you the heavies, like Red Letter Media and so on and so forth. But I noticed that it's doing that, at least for me. And that's kind of neat. And some of these people are really competent. You know what I mean? And some of the stuff's been around for a couple of years too, and it has that small of hasn't really gotten noticed, which is interesting.
Oh yeah, dude, there are people that are 25 times more talented than I'll ever be, that I come across every once in a while, where I'm like, no one knows who this person is for some reason. I don't know. I don't know, this person's really, really good, but no one seems to understand that. I encounter that in music all the time too.
Very strange. Yeah. And it's only getting more and more saturated. It's amazing.
What do you think? What do you guys think of that? I mean, this is off topic, but especially because Chris is here, I'm curious. Like, Chris, what do you think about the idea of purging YouTube at some point? Like, do you think that would ever be a thing where it would be like, let's get rid of everything that has fewer than X amount of views, or is this old with this many views or whatever, like cleaning it up to make discoverability better, or would that even really matter? I wonder, like, in other words, how permanent all this stuff really is.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's YouTube videos, like, because I've had my YouTube account since like 2006 or 2007, something like that. So like I have a favorites playlist or whatever of like stuff that like, and half of that stuff is just gone. Like it's just deleted or copyright struck or whatever. And I was going through it the other day, and there's like so many videos from like 2008, 2009 that are just like, there's like I can't remember what the symbol is exactly.
It's three dots or something, isn't it, or something like that?
It's like either 3 dots or like they used to have like the YouTube logo with like a sad face or whatever. You remember?
Oh, right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would like that really. Like I don't think discoverability is about the volume of stuff. It's about the persistence of that volume. I think. Sure. Like if you post all the time, you're going to be more discoverable anyway than like I don't know, a YouTube channel that just randomly like posted some weird puppet show about like fingernails once in like 2010. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. I don't know if, and I like the fact that like we have this like long history of just like weird shit that you can. One of my favorite things to do. I haven't done it in a while actually, but like for a while I was every now and again I would go to YouTube and I would just look up some random term, just some random word that like I was interested in, and then I would filter by most recent, so like most recently uploaded, and so you just get a bunch of weird shit. The problem now, I guess, is that like a lot of it is probably AI. And just like a lot of like I've come across it a couple times where it's like a top 10 video or like some news video about like, oh, the new Captain America is filming, and it has like a title that, I mean, this is hypothetical. This is not a literal video, but like I'll click on it because I'm curious, and it'll have like an obviously AI voice with like still images, and it'll be like, Anthony Mackie has agreed to sign a 3-picture deal, and it's like, this is that stuff can go. But I like the weird random offshoot channels where like the channel name is like a bunch of numbers and and it's just some kid reviewing like a fucking Eggo waffle sticks.
Yeah,
I love that stuff.
Here's my Dino Rider collection. Yeah, some 50-year-old guy.
Yeah. Digimon paper mache statue.
Exactly.
It's just like I love that stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. I can understand that.
Yeah, there's a place for that.
Yep,
for sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're clearly away from phone calls, so I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Definitely a reminder to work through my issues with that, though. Like, I just get on a program with like 3 or 4 people. If I could just do it, if I could just institute that policy and just, I can't steal myself. I don't know. I just got to do it.
I've been trying to call my mom more recently just because it's like, that's a good thing to do that.
Calling your parents is good.
But anybody else, that's okay.
Call your mother.
Call your mom.
Call your mom. It's very important. Guys, I'm going to bring up the rear. Oh. With my topic. Oh, I have a list. You guys know I have a running list of prospective Constellation topics, but I was just having a tough time curating one to this group this week. Not that it's a difficult group. It's just I like to kind of pigeonhole my topic, steering towards who I'm talking to, if I can. And I was really struggling with this, and I was out to dinner last night with my lovely wife, and we're at our favorite restaurant, just an early Valentine's Day thing, because we knew we couldn't do it today. And this restaurant is so fantastic. I know I've talked about it before, but the chef always sends out this gourmet popcorn that he makes. And it's like a smoked truffle oil popcorn. And he serves it in like this little cast iron pot, like a little, what do you call it? Like a witch's cauldron. But a mini cauldron. Like a tiny one. And it's hot. It's piping hot. It's delicious. I always say, like, if I could get a bucket of this in the movie theater, I would never leave the movie theater. It's delicious, right? And it just got me thinking, I could definitely set the world record for eating this popcorn. Like, if I could just eat it for days on end and just never stop. Just got one thing led to another. I was thinking of the Guinness Book of World Records, and I was like, wow, it just got this whole train, this whole domino effect going. Just thinking about food eating contests and that Kobayashi nut job that eats all the hot dogs in Coney Island every year, and this whole thing. And then I was thinking, one thing led to another. I was thinking like the long fingernails, the telltale long fingernails that there's always that one woman who's growing out her fingernails for 8 years. So crazy. I was thinking, this would be a good one to throw to the boys. World records, Guinness Book of World Records. Hey, did you guys know, actually, just in researching this last night, never knew this. Guinness Book of World Records is the same Guinness of the beer Guinness.
Yeah.
Never knew that.
I can't remember how I learned that, but like, I think it was like I think Conan O'Brien did like a visit to one of the Guinness plants.
Yeah, he did.
And I think he mentioned, I think that came up. That is weird. I don't understand what that is. That's about.
Very strange, right? It's like, it seems random.
It does, but also, who else could it have been in some way? You know?
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
Like it. you almost feel dumb for thinking that it doesn't make sense. Because I remember that's how I felt. It was just like, well, duh.
It seems like too convenient. It's like it can't be that easy. It can't be that easy. There's no way.
It's like how the Michelin, Michelin star restaurant, like those restaurants are like, it's literally a tire company.
It's Michelin.
Yeah, it's literally Michelin. It's the same Michelin.
It's so
and it just
weird.
I think the whole idea was that like if you were like a trucker and you were like going around like these are the best places to stop because they're the people who travel all the time, and that's how it got started. And then it just became this arbitrarily like renowned.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
That's what I heard. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was. But it's like, yeah, you think in retrospect, it's like I guess like there is no other Michelin.
So it's a similar thing.
Yeah.
And as a kid, it was fascinating. I mean, now you see, I guess they have one of the biggest YouTube channels. They have one of the biggest TikTok accounts. It makes sense. It's fascinating. All these people setting all these kind of random records, and some are sort of like, some are very offbeat. Some are sort of mainstream big things. But I said, let me talk to the fellas about world records. If you could break a world record, like my popcorn eating, right? My truffle oil popcorn. Shout out to Chef Joe at Honey Restaurant in Doylestown, PA. What records would you go for? What records horrify you? Which ones intrigue you? Which ones disgust you? So on and so forth. This is something that we've grown up with. Something huge. What I always loved about this is that there's a record for literally everything, like to the most minute detail. So there could be something for everybody. And supposedly you just think of your idea and let them know, and they kind of curate it and vet it. And if it sounds good to them, they'll come out and they'll film you, and it's like a whole thing. So it's like, so I'll throw it over to you first, Chris. World records, however you want to take it, Guinness Book or otherwise. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. My mind's going in a weird direction where it's like, it'd be cool to like, the thing is like, I'm so generally unimpressed by like so many of the records that are broken, because my first thought is like, why would you even do this once, let alone the amount of times it would take to break a record?
Practice.
Like, I can't remember. There was one that I wish I'm blanking on it, but I remember just being bewildered that it was even something that you could even break a record for. And so like my mind is going to all these like really niche things, like I want to breaking the most guitar strings in a single day. Like is that is that a record? Probably, because like why would anybody? It's expensive to buy strings. And so like just like you strum like that's what I would do. I would strum on a guitar until I broke 5,000 strings
without sleeping.
I wouldn't sleep. But it would have to be with a pick. I couldn't like cut them or anything. It would have to be like just through sheer strumming.
Natural.
But I don't know. Like I'm trying to remember. Like it's really bothering me that I can't remember. Let me look it up.
There's so many. I feel like it's almost so insane that you could just name something and it exists. Yeah. Like somebody has a record.
Yeah,
for
like
that.
most amount of ingested pubic hairs or something. Like something insane.
Biggest snot rocket or something like that. Yeah.
I did see that they won't do things like the world's biggest poop. They won't do that. They have limits, apparently.
Oh, wasn't there? Oh,
there's a South Park on that, I think, right?
Is there?
Yeah, I think so.
Like the world record biggest poop. Yeah, Randy.
I think I'm remembering what it is. So it wasn't. It's even sadder than the world record. But it was like, do you guys remember the story about the lady who she was trying to win a Nintendo Wii?
Oh, in the water thing.
In 2008, and like the idea was like, I think you had to hold your pee the longest, and then you would win a Nintendo Wii, and she fucking died, I think.
Yeah, for a Wii.
For a Nintendo, the Wii. I need you to understand. The Wii is $200 or something.
That's insane.
So yeah, like it's just the things that people will do for such minimal.
That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah,
I love it.
Those people that like ride on roller coasters for a week for like $50 to Walmart or something.
Right. Now that's like a Mr. Beast thing, right? Now it's crossing over into Mr. Beast.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Area.
Yeah. Okay. So here's one. Okay. Most snails on a face.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Amazing.
You know what's cool about one like that? You know you're going to have that record for a while.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Dave, is like, if you want to be a big dickhead, right, you got to find some of these totally random ones and be like, I'm going to ruin this whole guy's whole life by beating his record and getting more snails on my face than him. Like, I'm going to make it my entire quest to fucking take this stupid record from this guy who thought he was so cute. Yeah.
I love that. And do it as soon as it happens.
Yeah, be ready the next day.
Here's what. Most married person. Linda Lou Taylor of Indiana holds the record for most marriages.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
How high do you think that is, by the way? On a gut guess.
9.
No.
12.
I'm going in the 20s. 23.
Brother, that's exactly right.
23.
Is it really?
20.
Wow.
It's crazy that was on point as it was.
Wow.
But
yeah,
it's 23.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like there's like biddies around here with 9 marriages, you know,
if
like
I were
any
to,
city.
I don't know. The whole world record economy or whatever the hell you want to call it was over. I just never quite understood it. Like I remember having the Guinness Book of World Records or some version of it. I remember experiencing it in some way.
Like school.
Yeah. I think the books at school. But they're in the same vein as like Ripley's Believe It or Not to me, where I'm like, okay, you know, I guess that guy was born with like 7 fingers. Okay,
very similar thing.
Like,
yeah.
All right.
And supposedly there's some payola, right? Like you could put up money for your like there's some things that get a little more controversial with it.
Does Guinness pay?
You could, if I'm not mistaken, you don't have to pay for a record. But you can, I guess, I don't want to talk out of school, but you could actually push it forward or actually pay a fee in order for some sort of consideration.
Oh,
you don't have to, but you can.
I have an idea. I would want to break the world record for the least amount of world records broken. So I would go out and try to break world records and then intentionally fail. So that way I would have the highest amount of failed records.
Failed attempts, yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's deep.
That feels like a movie they would have made in the early 2000s with Johnny Knoxville or something.
Yeah. With Johnny, totally Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, there you
the
go.
Whole Jackass crew.
Johnny Knoxville is Dan.
Yeah.
A man, whatever.
Maybe Adam Sandler. Maybe even take it back to the 90s.
Adam Sandler would be great too,
right?
yeah. Chris Farley would have been the best for that.
Oh, Chris Farley. Yeah. Dude, it's amazing to me that like you mentioned Jackass. It is amazing to me that those guys are still around to tell stories at all is truly bewildering. I when I was watching Jackass, I was like, oh, these guys are gonna die. Like super like these guys are not gonna like you're not gonna see Johnny Knoxville with gray hair or like Steve-O with gray hair. Like it's not gonna happen. And like here they are still.
I know.
Like somehow. It's truly crazy.
It really is.
I love that.
They really got up to some shit.
MTV was actually kind of brilliant in the late 90s, early 2000s. They got away from music, but you know, Jackass and Tom Green and a bunch of other things like Tom Green is really the originator of kind of, people are pointing to him, right? Chris is like the originator of the video podcast, right? Like which is interesting.
Yeah, because he I think he got Joe Rogan to do it.
Right. And Rogan was, I think the whole thing is like Rogan kind of in real time realizing like, holy shit, I could do this. And here we are.
A star was born.
A sleeper agent in like most influential people. Like you wouldn't assume that Tom Green has had the influence that he has.
I loved him. I don't know if Dagan remembers that, but I loved Tom Green.
You did.
I thought it was like
you definitely did.
I thought that show, the Tom Green Show, was like the funniest shit ever.
He was hilarious.
So crazy, dude.
He was super funny. Like
what's going on with him though? He was off the grid and now he's back doing stand up or something.
Oh,
is he?
Okay.
He was totally off the grid. Like not off the grid, like he would still do Rogan and do podcasts, but like he was mostly living in like a camper in the desert with his dog, and he's high on the hog. He's got millions of dollars.
Yeah. He made a lot of money.
But now he's back doing stand up, I think.
This is the Tom Green Show. It's not the Green Tom Show. That was like the whole.
This is the Tom Green Show.
It was just funny.
It's not the Green Tom Show. It was like so weird. And
dude,
the guy,
he married Drew Barrymore.
The guy was like with him, but then there was the guy on the TV.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
It just came in through the TV. It was very strange.
Oh, weird, man.
There was a lot of weird. Like MTV was kind of subversive in a lot of even when they went away from music, they were doing a lot of weird experimental stuff that was like really interesting. I remember even something like the Andy Milonakis show. I remember being just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Did Tom Green spin him off, or did he come up on his own?
Who?
Andy Milonakis.
I really have no context at all. I don't know. All I remember is like Andy Milonakis was the first inkling that I had. Like, oh, I could be successful.
Mm.
No disrespect to Andy Milonakis, but like, I mean, like, it really was just like complete bullshit. Like, it was just them. Yeah. MTV just gave them money to just do whatever, and kind of half like the whole point of it that it was like low budget and shitty.
Yeah, right.
And like. Seeing that on MTV was like kind of like a big deal to me because I was just like, oh wait, maybe because I was comparing, I was looking at my skill level compared to like literal directors and like literal like actual big budget TV, and I'm like, I can't do fucking any of that shit.
Right.
Yeah, I could do that. That's easy as fuck.
And then YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's like a progenitor from YouTube in a lot of ways. It's like it really was. It really was just skit comedy. In some dude's apartment in New York City. It's nuts in retrospect.
Which is so crazy with network resources like Paramount's resources. That's what I always
he got fucking Lil Wayne on the first episode. You're like, what is going on? And he's like eating cereal. Like Lil Wayne is eating cereal at Andy Milonakis' appointment, and he's like spitting it at him. It's psychotic content. Like there's like you. It was like Eric Andre in some way a little bit, but Eric Andre could only last so long because like at some point the secret's out. You can't keep that forever. If you can't trick somebody in season 5 of the Eric Andre show, like they know what they're getting into.
Yeah, it's what happened to Ali G.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And a few others like
Borat.
MTV was subversive and interesting. Like it was, Dig and I always talk about liquid television, but I always think about Real World and Road Rules, obviously, and then things
reality
like
TV.
There was a lot of, like Undressed was really seminal. I don't know if you guys remember that show, but it was like the late night MTV show about sex, basically.
I do, yeah.
Remember Singled Out?
Yeah,
yes.
That was awesome. Singled Out was great. That's where what's his name got his start. He's like a big nerd culture dude. Like, why can't I remember his name? The host.
Oh. Yeah, I can't think of his name.
It was Jenny McCarthy, I remember on there.
Yeah, Jenny McCarthy was like the chick, but there was like a male host. I can't remember his name, and he's like got pretty big off of that show. So they were just like they were doing a lot of cool shit. I just wish that and MTV2 was dope because that's where they just put all the music. So you could just go there, but they did eventually kind of break that all down. But there were they were progenitors of a lot of that early stuff. I even like the whole Viacom family, like even like VH1. With like I love the 90s and I love the 80s and pop-up video and all this stuff. Like this is kind of early YouTube-esque content, actually.
It kind of led directly to it in a lot of ways. I mean, I remember Remote Control. That was like for my generation, that was like one of the first Colin Quinn's big thing and really put him on the map. Yeah. Right?
I remember there was I think it was VH1 or like it might have, I wish I could remember exactly where, but like that was like an early Dan Harmon, Justin Roiland with Acceptable TV. They had a show on one of those networks.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was like I remember being so obsessed with that show because it was so fascinating to me. And for people who don't know, it's like the premise of it was like the whole idea was like it would be it's a 30-minute block, and in that 30 minutes there would be like 5 like low budget TV show pilots. And so there would be like short 3-minute episodes for each show. And then the audience would vote which ones to cancel and which ones to continue.
Right.
And so like you had like these just weird like off the wall. Like I remember Homeless James Bond was like one of my favorite ones. It was just like because it was just like the gadgets were just like literally like one spray of cologne and like I don't even just like really like normal like here's a spoon.
Yeah, a gum wrapper or something.
Yeah, a gum wrapper. It's like, oh, you could use this to throw gum away. It's just like it sucked. It was so stupid. But like yeah, they were doing a lot of interesting stuff, and that was like maybe 2006. That was like when
I think that's right.
YouTube was around, but it wasn't nearly the force that it would become even a few years later. It's comical looking back at some videos that I remember being like larger than life at the time, and seeing that like the original upload of that video has like maybe like 30,000 views.
Wow,
it's insane. Like, and I remember them being crazy. And I remember them being like quintessential YouTube. Like you couldn't be on this site without having seen this. Like I remember Smosh was like the big breakout one where they had a couple million. But even that, like, I remember like a few years ago looking at it, was like a lot of those like big videos, they had like maybe like 1 million views.
Yeah.
Which is like hysterical today.
After all this time, right.
Yeah. After all this time, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And shout out also to Daria, one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Daria. I remember Daria. Mm-hmm.
And
they did a lot with animation.
Yeah, they really did. Daria, I still, in my mind, when I see things, I don't know if you guys remember, ever if you watched Daria. Dig, do you remember like Sick Sad World? It was like the fake show in Daria.
Yes. Yep.
And it was like Sick Sad World. And they would always like cut to it. It would be like some horrible shit happening. And then it was like some sort of like almost like current affair type show. And when I see fucked up things still in my life, I sometimes say that, at least to myself, not aloud, where I'm like, Sick Sad World. You know, like
I worked on the last 6 weeks of that show before it was canceled. The episode I was worked on for a season that never went anywhere.
Dang.
As a layout
so
artist.
You're saying you got it canceled, basically.
It was probably my fault.
It's Dagan's fault.
It was probably my fault. It was my fault.
Dagan killed Daria.
Let's face it. There was a record, before I pass this over to Brad, that I think you guys could guess with very little effort. That, where did I see? Yeah, it was the guy. Well, I gave it away that it was a guy, but that's okay. Who took the most selfies with people in the least amount of time? If you really think about this one, you could probably figure out who it is. It's a famous person, a famous dude. I'll let you guys guess. Most selfies in however many minutes, I'm not sure.
Oh my
but it was
God.
like, wow. You know, even the big stars are cashing in on this thing. And I'll give you another hint. Everybody likes this fella.
Keanu?
No, that's a good guess though. That's a very good guess. Same sort of domain in terms of appeal and likability.
Matthew McConaughey?
I think Keanu's more likable, but
Matthew McConaughey.
No, that's another good guess. Similar thing in the charisma, and even think like somebody who's definitely been whispered about for politics coming out of the entertainment space. Like definitely people have been like, why doesn't this person run for office?
Rock?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
good guess. Yeah. He has a little more hate than probably at least Keanu, right? Everybody loves Keanu.
Yeah, but why would you hate him too? It's like The Rock. It's like he's totally
Rock?
innocuous. Yeah.
It's Dwayne,
No, I don't know. The Rock. There's some weird going on with The Rock. Like, because I remember that contract that came out about like he had like a deal where like he can't lose in movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to he won't let anybody like depict him losing, and that's why like
what?
Yeah, that's why that's why he plays Black Adam in his own movie, because like that's a Shazam villain, but like he didn't want to be the villain because like if he was the villain he would have to lose. And so, like, they made a whole fucking movie based around, it's like, okay, you're the villain, but, like, it's your movie, so you'll win, I guess.
It's just so weird. Because I understand that contractually if you want to have that vision, but for a movie, it's like, well, you don't fit here then. Sorry. We'll get someone else.
Right,
then.
yeah.
Like, we don't need you. By the way, did you see Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in... Was it her? It was someone I was thinking about with you, Chris. Or someone that you like is in the new Marvel movie?
Yeah, I don't care at this point.
Right, but I just saw someone that reminded me of you. Where I was like, I think it was Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Maybe it was.
Yeah, she is. She plays some character in the new Captain America, and I'll watch those scenes on YouTube.
Interesting.
You know, like I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's like my favorite.
She's
but, like,
great.
I'm not gonna go see a Marvel movie in theaters.
No, of course.
Like
of course.
that shit's over.
That's where you draw the line.
It's over.
Unless you bring Sam Raimi back in some way, because I did like that multiverse movie that he did from a directing standpoint, but that story was stupid too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not really interested in that world at all.
My dreams of Christopher Nolan coming back to Batman is dead because didn't he had a falling out with Warner?
Oh, I don't know.
I would imagine.
Like I thought it started maybe with Tenet or something where he like went with another distributor.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I like that movie. I think I'm the only one.
I still haven't seen it.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's confusing.
I just don't.
It's very confusing.
I don't see anything anymore. I just don't watch anything.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna have the gumption.
Yeah, you're watching bum fights
in April. Well, no, I was gonna say in April I'm gonna have the gumption to walk into a movie theater and see Until Dawn. so that we can do a Sacred Symbols Plus episode about it.
The gumption. It's I feel like but you watch like modern TV and stuff. Like I feel like you see a lot of TV. You watch a lot of TV.
I do see TV, but not so much anymore. What I like to do is like with the big thing right now is Severance. It's like I like Severance. I saw the first season, but I'm just waiting for it to be done, and then I'll just watch it all in like 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's even fair. After seeing the whole first season, you feel like you could be patient enough to wait?
I mean, I have been. Yeah, dude, I am so inundated with shit like to play and watch and listen to. Yeah. And it's like, I am not. That's why I get so upset when people are like, where are the games and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my God, open your eyes. I have no time to do I'm not doing a million things that I want to be doing. So that's just one of the many things I could be doing. And I just put it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping no one spoils it, but I don't think
it makes sense.
That's a risk.
It makes sense. Yeah. I think it's because I found myself like with a lot of time, like one day this week or like for 2 straight days. And I just used that time. It's like I binged all of Twin Peaks and then I binged all of Severance. Like,
wow.
Because I was I have time.
Finally. You must have been in a weird place.
Chris, you'll appreciate this. I only saw the first season of Twin Peaks. I never finished it, but I fell in love with the theme song. And I would let it run and I still listen to it. Like if it comes, it's on like my master playlist and it'll pop up. And I'm because everyone likes the theme for one of the chicks. I can't remember her name. Laura's theme is like the big song, but I like that intro, like and just the build up and all of the rest. And it's like the lumberyard or whatever they're showing in the credits. And every episode, because usually it'll give you the option to skip ahead, and I would just watch it. And it's like 2 minutes
I'm very
long.
proud of you for that. I'm very proud of you for that.
Yeah.
But you gotta watch the rest.
It's a good intro. Yeah. Like it's Twin Peaks is weird. Like I love that. I really am. Because David Lynch, when he died, I was like, oh shit. Like I still haven't seen Twin Peaks. Like I feel like this should be something that I've seen. And I like David. I always liked him more for his interviews that he would give. Oh, like anytime he's on an interview, it's so funny. Like I love that video of him going like, where he's like talking to people like about watching movies on their phones. And he's like, you can't watch a movie on the phone.
Have you seen the one, Chris, where he's watching like dailies and someone's like looking over his shoulder and he's like, it's who gives a fuck how long it is or whatever. Like how long a scene is.
Yeah. He's like, she's like, can we get the time down? It's like, what is it with you? What the fuck is it with you? Who gives a fucking shit how long a scene is?
Yeah. That's my favorite.
He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite. I love him so much.
Who doesn't give a shit how long a scene is? It's so funny. Like, who cares?
But yeah, Twin Peaks was the second season like becomes a mess because apparently the studio was like forcing him. It was like, you got to answer the mystery. And he's like, no, that's the whole point is that you don't know. It's impossible not to do an impression of him. But
you do a good one.
Everybody, it's so easy it's just yelling. It's just loud yelling. But so they answered the mystery and then he like quit the show and then the show gets fucked. It's completely off the rails. But then he comes back at the end and he's like, I'm going to fix everything you fucked.
Because he had a co-creator.
Yeah. Mark Frost, I think.
Right.
Mark Frost. But yeah, like, so I've had that time. And actually like watching Severance, I was like, this is kind of, it's not exactly Twin Peaks at all really, but like, there's kind of like, there's surreal elements to it where I'm like, this is kind of not that different.
No, it's Lynchian
in spirit.
It's Lynchian.
It's very cool.
I was glad to watch it and familiarize myself with it more, even that first season. And I did stop because I knew he walked away, and I was like, well, maybe I'll get to. I have a few friends like Ramon that are like really into it.
Mm-hmm. It's entertaining and it's still good. Like the characters are still great. And when David Lynch comes in as that deaf cop. It's like my favorite stuff ever. He's just shouting the whole fucking time.
I didn't know this.
But he plays a deaf cop and he's just like, you are witnessing a tender moment. And he's like shouting at everybody because he just assumes nobody can hear him. It's great.
He has the most amazing head of hair, or did.
Oh yeah.
I'm really jealous of it.
Look at that hair.
Yeah.
Great style.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Just had a
definitely.
Great style.
Very cool person. Very cool.
He also just arbitrarily like did a lot. Like, did you see him? I didn't know this, but he like played himself as a recurring character on the fucking Cleveland show. Like for no reason.
I never even really saw an episode of that show, I don't think.
No, me neither. But like, I think he just plays a bartender. There's like, he plays himself in a lot of like cutaways that just like how David Lynch stole Christmas, and he like crawls down the chimney and it's him. And he goes like, And he goes like, Merry Christmas, it's a thumb. And the kid screams, he's like, no, don't look away. Let the fear wash over you. Unironically, I stand by the fact that like Family Guy, like in a short form context, like clips of Family Guy are fucking hilarious.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, I agree.
I love Family Guy. I've always loved
So
Family
funny.
Guy. I've always thought it was truly hysterical. Like I love I bring this up sometimes, but I think it's the pilot episode where they cut away and it's like to the Brady Bunch and how they they kill one of the kids by like with like a lever and like set him into like some fire pit below or whatever. I'm like, this is fucking bizarre shit, man. And that was like my first impression of it in 1999 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it's the innocuous line. It's like, I remember there was an innocuous line that still makes me fucking crack up. It's like when Peter he takes over the Grim Reaper's job and he busts into like a plane cockpit and the pilot turns around and he's like, you're not a pilot. I know every pilot in the world. It's dumb shit.
That was
the cutaway, man. The cutaway was
played by
Norm Macdonald,
right? Yeah.
Oh, right.
It was Norm Macdonald first, and then Adam Carolla, I think, basically like took over because Norm wouldn't come back because I was like, I'm not doing that show no more. Family Guy, what?
But I'm glad that Twin Peaks came up just because I really did come to I'm glad that I have that touchstone just because when especially, and I mean, it's most obvious here, but when I went and played Alan Wake, it was like, gee, I think it was actually playing Alan Wake that made me appreciate or go and see it where I'm like, holy shit. Like this is really quite inspirational to a lot of people. It's pretty cool, so definitely a good touchstone.
Very impactful. You gotta check out the Lynchian cinematic universe now, Kyle. Start with Blue Velvet or start with Eraserhead and just work your way up.
No, you should start with What Did Jack Do? Do you know that movie, Dagan?
Yes.
He did a short film where he's like interrogating a monkey for 20 minutes. It's insane.
He didn't do it. He never did anything bad. And you know what? He narrates his own audiobook. So if you guys have Audible,
Chapter 1. What the fuck is going on?
Because this childhood, growing up in Philly and everything, like super, you could see like how it impacted him.
He called it the sickest place he's ever experienced.
Make sure to find that clip of him talking about Star Wars where he got asked to direct one.
Oh yeah,
he was talking to George
yeah.
Lucas, and he's like, I started getting a headache, and it just kept growing. When George was talking about Star Wars,
George Lucas is explaining like Ewoks to him or something, or like the Wookiees.
Was he supposed to do Jedi or something? Is that what he was supposed to do?
He wanted him to do Jedi, and so George Lucas was like, "Come over to my place. I want to show you the Wookiees." And then he talks about like how he drove him to like a vegan restaurant in like a fast car. And David Lynch is like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. My head is pounding. Yeah. It's pounding something fierce. And he's like, do you want one of my vegan soups? Would you like a vegan soup? No.
Can you imagine? I would the balls to walk away from
that conversation.
How can you not direct that movie though? That's crazy. That like he was asked to direct that and he's like, nah.
Well, he did Dune. So then everybody thought he could do sci-fi. But Dune was a disaster.
Yeah, Dune was a mess.
Yeah, pretty incredible. And you got me thinking about The Rock with that thing in his contract. You know what's pretty insidious and brilliant about that is when he's ready to reinvent himself, everyone gets tired of him for good and all. He can just come back as a villain.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. And everybody be like, "Oh, The Rock is a villain." That'll be the gimmick.
He'll be the boulder.
It's just that I'm not culturally connected enough to modern like contemporary culture, but I'm just not annoyed by him. Like he just doesn't annoy me.
Yeah.
There's people that annoy the fuck out of me. He's not one of them.
For me, no.
He doesn't annoy me. But that contract made me look like, it's just so egotistical. I'm like, what do you really? You're that's like one of the richest people, and like everybody loves you, but you need this. Like, God forbid.
Yeah, you're a wrestler, and you played a villain. During wrestling
right?
Stuff. Yeah,
he was kind of a heel, right?
I think he was a heel at times. Yeah, pretty sure. Like.
Yeah, that's
the villain is the coolest part. You would just think like if I were an actor and I had talent, I'd be like, I want to only play the villain.
That'd be so fun. Yeah,
those are the most fun things ever. Yeah. Although I guess they do have the potential to like ruin your life if you do them too well.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that Joffrey guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
People were coming up to him and they're like, I hate you. And I'm like, brother.
Yeah.
He was so good. He dismisses that as leaving the business, but you know what, Chris, you might have a good point. That might have been kind of forced on him.
Maybe
because who's going to hire him after that, right? Unless he's going to play an evil prince again.
Typecasting is weird because I get it, but it also feels so unfair.
Yeah,
like what do you like? You're kind of punishing people for doing too good of a job in some way.
It's exactly
right.
Or
just being too iconic.
Yeah, like George Costanza, like he can only play that. He could only play that character. That's why they demanded the revenue share that they ended up demanding for the rest of that show. Because this is like, if I do this, I'm never going to be able to do anything else again. So like if I do this, I want to make sure that I never have to work. I never have to work again. And that was the deal that they struck up.
Yeah,
because I think they knew that like this was just like, this is insurmountable. These characters.
Yeah, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the only one that really got out of it. And it took time. I mean, because I really think Veep is the one. Mm-hmm. And that show is so fucking good and so off the rail. Like that show is so off the rails that it's shocking, actually.
It's very good.
Yeah.
I finally got around to watching it in the last like year or two. But like and that took a while. That was like after like what, like 3? Because I know there was like New Adventures of Old Christine or like some other shows.
Yeah,
like
and there was that one Chasing Ellie or something like that she did right after Seinfeld, and it was the one where like it would be timed, like the episode was timed in the corner. Do you remember that? It was I know what you're talking about. Life.
The idea was that it was like real time,
right? Exactly.
Which is like a terrible. I mean, it's neat. It's neat, but that's not a network idea. That's
they all had whiffs right away. Like that was hers. George did the one where he was like the motivational speaker, and that one failed. And then Kramer did the one where he was like a cop, like a detective. And that one failed.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then he had a great career doing stand up.
Yeah. Then he
right. He did very well.
You know who's absolutely fucking amazing in Veep is Gary Cole. Like,
oh, he's a great actor.
He is so funny.
Like he's the dad from Brady Bunch.
Yeah, he's the dad from the Brady Bunch movies, and he's from Office Space. He's Blumberg in Office Space.
I googled Gary Cole and hit enter, and it autocorrected to Gary Coleman.
Me too. Nice. Same thing.
He is that guy is so funny.
Oh yeah, this guy.
Oh
this guy.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
He's like the data analyst in Veep, and he's like super fucking funny.
I remember him in Office Space.
Yeah, Lumberg.
Yeah, he was great.
Lumberg fucked her. It's so fucking
good. He's an old improv dude.
Yeah,
he's been around. You guys are big Julia Louis-Dreyfus fans. You gotta watch. There's a little indie A24 movie. I think it's up on Max now, called Tuesday, where she plays the mom of like a terminally ill daughter. Dude, she breaks your heart in that fucking.
That sounds really
movie.
sad. I don't want to see that.
It's really sad. It's kind of uplifting. It's weird. It's a very strange movie, but it just shows her range. I never saw her do that.
Right.
Like the really empathetic parent. I was like, holy shit.
That's like, that's a lot like Adam Scott, honestly, in Severance, where I'm like, because Adam Scott's really, I mean, as far as I know, maybe he's done other dramatic roles, but I'm pretty sure like he's been a comedy guy. Like I recognize him from,
I think you're right.
I think Step Brothers, like
Krampus. He's in that.
Oh, right. I forgot about Krampus.
Yeah, he's in Krampus. Shout out Krampus.
I feel like that still kind of counts as comedy in some way.
Oh yeah,
but
it's like kind of
But like seeing him like act like seriously is kind of like, oh cool. That's I like seeing people branch out like that.
Yeah,
I think it's neat.
Yeah, it's the reverse of what De Niro did. I think it's a great effect where he became really funny. You know, he's always funny, but he became overtly comedically funny. But hey, real quick exit, because Dagan and I always bring this up when Gary Cole is mentioned, because we talk about him on our show sometimes, is if you haven't seen the Brady Bunch movies from the 90s, you got to watch those movies.
So good.
He plays Mr. Brady, and those movies are so fucking funny. They have no
awesome
business. They're basically about like the Brady Bunch if it took place in the 90s, but they didn't know it was the 90s. That's the whole premise of the movies. It's so fucking good.
It really is.
Like it truly is funny as fuck.
I've never
kind of slept on.
I've never seen anything Brady Bunch related.
Wow, not even the original. So yeah, you wouldn't really appreciate it if you never saw the original. Probably.
Really?
Yeah,
they're special.
I mean, I know it was on TV Land or something when I was growing up. And I remember being like, I'm not gonna watch.
It's cool. It's a cool look into Americana. It's not highly watchable. It's clearly on a soundstage. It's way too happy.
Yeah. That's the whole flavor.
He doesn't know that the downfall we had to deal with Cousin Oliver towards the end when they brought Cousin Oliver on.
Legend.
I saw actually a clip was circulating, which they have in one of the movies. They redo it in one of the movies, which is cool. Like when Marcia gets beamed in the face with the football.
Yeah, her nose broken or whatever.
And I love like the delivery of the line. Like it's the best delivery they got where she's like, oh, my nose. You know, like it's like a horrible line delivery. And I'm like, Jesus, couldn't you have done this? It reminds me, Dave, when we talk about Indiana Jones and like in one of the new ones, and he's like, down here
Part-time.
or whatever. And Red Letter Media like did a whole thing about that. It's like, that's the best delivery you got. And then they found out that there's actually in the trailer a different delivery of the line that's better. And for some reason, they just put the shitty one in the movie.
I love
Yeah, it's
shit like
part-time.
Part-time,
Yeah, right.
part-time.
Yeah, that's right.
But
And but then they're like, in the trailer, it sounds right. Like, why did you edit it?
so weird. That is so.
Oh, that's good shit. Shout out to Red Letter
lovingly
Media,
shepherded.
geniuses.
Listen, you guys are taking my topic off the rails.
Sorry.
I don't
Yeah,
mind.
sorry.
I like it. This is the Constellation energy I'm here for. Brad, I'm kicking it over to you. You
All right,
can
all right.
continue off the rails. You could take it back on the rails of world
I'll
records.
stay on
Doesn't
target,
matter.
Red 5. Okay,
All right.
so the
Yeah,
one
no
I was
good.
thinking about, the world record for holding your breath, I think
Oh.
is insane. Specifically, or especially because I can't hold my breath for very long, I feel like. And I was just like, man, if I could do, it's 24 minutes and 37
How can
seconds,
that
the world
be?
record. How can you sit
insane.
underwater that long?
I didn't mean to do that time. It came out that way.
That's not possible.
Like, how is that even possible?
That,
Like,
that doesn't sound
I don't
possible.
understand. But he's just some guy just sitting in a pool,
He's cheating somehow. I don't know how, but like,
just hanging out there.
Could you take some sort of like oxygen? Like, I'm being serious. Like, is there some way to take
Oxygen
some kind of
pills or
oxygen
something?
supplement or like OD on oxygen, then pass out? And
Dude, the video is just him with his head in the water in a pool, just laying like face down in a pool.
bro, he must have
And these
no
two
brain
guys just
cells.
right next to him. It's crazy.
That's insane.
Isn't brain death like after like 3 minutes with no oxygen or something like that?
That's what I thought. I have
Are they
this
lying?
memory that I held my breath
Are
in the
they
pool
lying?
for 3 minutes, but I couldn't have. That's got to be. I got to be misremembering.
I've done it for
that.
over a minute, even in my pool in the backyard. Like as an adult, I've held my breath for a minute, and that's like excruciating.
That's a
Yeah, I
long
could
time.
not do that. No way.
That's
And
an
you have to
eternity.
move. Like I can't stay still. It's like you have to move and like blow it out slowly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like if you just kind of distract yourself, the time goes a little bit quicker.
Like,
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't. I'm looking at this and I don't understand.
yeah, how's this? Like, how did this guy do it? I don't know. He's like an alien or something.
Maybe it's
They
not
have
even water.
rules
Maybe it's
about
like
it, though.
maybe that's just liquid air or something.
Liquid air.
I really have no idea how that's even. This reminds me. It's not to the same degree because this is like, if it is fake, it's obviously more well done. But like we were talking on the Star Trek about. Do you guys remember Chris Angel?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Long
of
Island
course.
Zone.
How like
I didn't know this was
Long
Long Island.
Island Zone. Chris Angel.
Yeah.
He did this thing called. He like jumped. I think that the trick that he was doing was like he was gonna take a car, drive it off a ramp over the Grand Canyon, and like appear in like a cage dangling over it. And the whole idea was like, oh, you weren't sure how he was supposed to housing get from the car into the cage. And I'm not even joking. When you look this video up, what they aired on TV for this, it is the funniest fight. It's called Chris Angel Death Jump, and it is the most fucking ridiculous thing you have
I'm gonna look
ever
it up.
seen in your goddamn life, because they literally just cut away. Yeah, Chris Angel Death Jump.
Okay.
You can look this up online if you're listening to this, but it's
Yeah.
like I'm trying to find the exact moment. The edit is so fucking embarrassing. It's at exactly 2 minutes and 51 seconds in. He does the jump and then it's just like an Anthony Fantano like fire transition, and it's such an obvious edit that I couldn't believe that this is on TV and the people were like mystified by Chris Angel.
yeah, what it is the
It is
Anthony Fantano
literally
explosion.
That is hilarious.
It's so
What?
stupid. I'm like,
I don't understand.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I almost wonder like 24 minutes underwater, like how come on.
I'm reading the comments on the video that you shared, and
Yeah.
it says that this is oxygen aided in some way, and that the record without it is 11 and a half minutes, which is still.
Oh,
I mean 11 and a half is still also
That's
I-
insane.
I'll be honest, not that you would have noticed. I just held my breath after I stopped talking before for 35 seconds,
how was that?
and it was bad. Like I was, you know.
It's bad,
The
dude.
thing that I've realized about that helps me get to like towards a minute is like just slowly blowing the air out. For some reason, that like tempers this need to suck in. So if you take like a huge breath and then kind of hold it until you really feel like you want to take a breath, and then you just start slowly blowing the air out.
Yeah.
You buy yourself a ton of time.
I think it's because you trick your brain into thinking it's going to get more air really quick.
Oh yeah. It's like a
kind of
reflex.
it's like the trick that I used to do when I didn't have a lot of money, and I would feel myself getting hungry, and so I would like grab like a handful of cereal and I would eat it, and then like my body would stop making me hungry because it thinks I'm going to eat more. Right. And then I just wouldn't. Yeah.
That's so sad.
Hey man, you tough it out,
I love it.
These YouTube comments on this Chris Angel video. 3 gooners sent me here. They're definitely talking about the Shark Tank.
It's definitely us.
Wait, where's the link to the Chris Angel video?
Sorry. I here it is. So it's look up, Colin. You're gonna love this.
Yeah. There it is. I got it.
Okay, so it's 2 minutes and 51 seconds in, I believe.
2 minutes and 51 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
right.
right.
Here we go.
Just let it.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Don't look away. Let it wash over you.
Thanks, Mr. Lynch. Dude, that is insane.
That was so.
Isn't it like mesmerizingly stupid?
Yeah, that's so bad. Dude.
This has Snark Tank comments on it.
Yeah. We definitely talked about it at some point. I don't remember, but like, dude, it is so stupid that like people watch this TV show and we're like bewildered.
Yeah, whoa,
like wow, Dad.
Dude, the reason I know Chris Angel is from Long Island. He's from Hempstead specifically, but the reason I know that is because on his show, I guess it was Mind Freak, he would always be in like he'd be like in a parking lot of a deli in Levittown or something, like all the time. He'd always be in these weird places. I'm like, you would only be here if you were from Long Island. And then I looked it up and it's like, yeah, lo and behold. It's like, why are you here? Get out of here.
That's really funny, dude.
Go levitate, go pretend to float over the pyramid in Las Vegas.
It's like, Dane and I always kid around that there's Long Island is, for people that are not from there, is not, I don't want to say known, like widely known, but there's a supernatural element to it where it's considered haunted in some places. And so I've always found it like Camp Hero and Plum Island and the Brookhaven Labs and the Amityville Horror House and all that kind of stuff. But I always found it interesting that people like Chris Angel, the Long Island Medium, that chick.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about her.
And John, what was that guy's name? John Roberts, or the guy that was really famous at the turn of the century, crossing over with John Edwards.
John Edwards.
And I'm like, what is going on here? Why are all these fucking weird supernaturalists?
Bunch of freaks on that island.
Hucksters.
Yeah, like coming from here. And then you realize they're like really good at cold reading and shit like that and all the interesting stuff. But it adds a little bit of because Long Island is a little creepy. And then people like, and then you're like going to get bagels, and Chris Angel is waiting for you in the fucking parking lot.
Yeah,
and he's like, what if I made your car disappear? You know, it's like, holy shit, man! Can I just get the fuck out of here, please?
He's not around.
He's
anymore?
in Vegas, dude.
He's got to be around, right?
He's probably shown Vegas, I think.
Oh, he's the big Vegas guy.
Yeah, he's the big Vegas magician.
He turns all your bagels when you come out into pumpernickel bagels. And you're like, you son of a bitch! Why'd you do that?
Chris. Yeah.
I like talking about records with him, though, David Blaine, right? Because that's a whole nother element.
That's right.
Right? Mm-hmm. These old Vegas residency dudes.
Carrot Top. Yep.
Holding your breath. See, that 29 minutes.
Chris Angel, David Blaine, and Carrot Top. That's a show. That's a show, man. Oh, my God. Sign me up.
I'm in. I am in.
Props and magic.
I don't like looking at Carrot Top. He just looks fucked up, dude.
Wasn't he like Gallagher's apprentice or something?
He was.
Like some weird.
He was.
Yeah, he was. Literally. But Gallagher took like crazy advantage. We were just talking about this recently.
Yeah, because I never knew. I like went down this Carrot Top rabbit hole where I'm like, oh, he's actually funny, and here's where he came from.
Yeah.
I just never took him seriously because society told me to never take him seriously, and I don't really take him seriously, I guess. But he's like way funnier than I thought he was. And
his routine is not bad.
Just a total normal comic.
He's jacked too.
Yeah, he is.
He's huge.
Yeah, that makes it more disturbing.
Yeah, it's fucked up. He has
like
like
an action
tattooed
figure
on eyebrows or some shit, or eyeliner, and he's
huge.
He's jacked. Yeah,
he's like a kit bashed action figure. He's like part Barbie, part.
He's like a whipped Cabbage Patch Kid or something.
He's like a loosely microwaved action figure who like is. There's no reason for him to be as jacked as he. Like comedians, I'm of the belief that like comedians really shouldn't be jacked. Like there's something about it that makes it less funny.
I agree.
Like I don't know. I don't know
There's
what it
something
is.
weird about that.
Yeah, even Joe Rogan, who like is arguably not really a comedian. He just kind of hangs around with like that. He has like specials where I'm like kind of bewildered that he's made all these comedy friends. But like
I agree with it. I agree with you on that.
But like he's clearly like a meathead, you know? And it's cool that you're like friends with other comedians, but like he's not very funny by himself at all.
I agree.
So it's just kind of, and I think part of it is because he's a meathead, actually. I don't think that's like a zero. Like I think that's a significant proportion of like why that is the case. It's like, oh, I'm watching MMA, dude. It's like hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's two worlds colliding that probably don't typically collide, I guess.
Yeah, I never listen to him for his comedy.
No, of course not. He's a podcaster.
Yeah.
Do you guys, how long did this guy hold his breath for? 29 minutes?
26 minutes, I think you said, right?
Yeah.
See, the thing with that guy is, if that's true, that's a weapon. That's who you send in to assassinate.
Yeah, that's like
people.
a seal.
That's a seal. That's beyond a seal.
Solid snake material, sudden shot of
Solid
Moses.
snake.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well done, Brad.
Yeah. That's an unholy person.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
I think that's a good way to describe him. Unholy, eldritch, something about him.
Eldritch.
Eldritch is a good.
That's a classic Chris word. Yeah.
Love it.
I haven't used that in a while.
No. You got to put it away for a little while.
Yeah.
Brad,
Can't
what else
overuse
you
it.
got for records? What else you got for me?
I don't
my
know.
friend?
I would want to do something really stupid then, along the lines like eating the most pizza
That'd
in
be
one
cool.
sitting or something like that. It's got to be something
man.
really dumb like that.
That'd be cool.
I would love to do that.
If you did that, would it put you, like, let's say you get your favorite pizza, you go in, you try to eat the most you can. Would that ruin it for you though? Would that be the end
100%.
of that? Probably.
But if I'm
that's
doing
good.
that, like if that is my goal in life, it's already over. Like if I'm already attempting
Yeah,
that,
that's true. Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
have nothing else to live for at that point, so
well
it doesn't
done.
even matter.
Well said. Well
Yeah.
said.
Nobody well-to-do is going after that record.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I would love to do a pizza eating record. Oh my God. I would.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would win. I'm small, but
You
like,
would not win.
but I would.
None of us would come even close.
No. But like, I think people would be surprised. I think the amount of, I remember there was this Halloween one year. I was in high school and like, it was like before we were going to go out trick-or-treating, we ordered pizza and they ordered pizza for like the whole house. And I ate 2.5 pies.
Holy shit.
And then my friend's dad came home and he was like, who ate all the pizza? I thought there would be pizza left for me, the father. And I was like, I have no idea.
Chris, that's 20 slices of pizza.
No, what, 20 slices?
Yeah, 8, 16, and 4.
Wait, hold on. What did you hear me? What did I say?
2.5.
You said 2.5
Yeah.
pies.
Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah,
8.
whoops.
Yeah, 20 slices of pizza.
Maybe you're just like a fat kid at heart or something.
Dude,
I don't know.
I will say that was a painful like experience at a certain point. Like,
Really?
but it was so fucking, it was so damn delicious. And then afterwards was candy from Halloween.
That's like,
So it was like,
wow.
that's like biblical gluttony or something like that. Like you're going in a circle of hell for
I can put
that.
down a pizza easy, but not more than that.
Yeah, 8 slices not
That's not a
too
big deal.
tough.
I mean,
No,
I don't
but-
do that because I have a little bit of self-respect, but I could. I mean, I could eat way more than I do.
Is that pizzeria still around, Chris? That specific spot?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that
they're
must
really
be good
good.
pizza.
Yeah. I do want to clarify. I think we ordered 2.5. We ordered 2 pies or like 3 pies, and then I had 1.5. It's not egregious.
Dude,
It wasn't
are you ready
that
for
egregious,
this?
but that's still a lot.
though.
One sitting, this guy consumed 83 slices in 10 minutes.
Oh,
What?
the time is gonna. I think I
that's
could
crazy.
do that. The time will fuck me up.
83 slices, Chris?
10
I think
minutes?
I think I could do it. Not in
You
10
think you
minutes.
can eat?
I could do it in a day. I could absolutely do it in a
No,
day.
you
I
can
don't
eat
think
83
you could.
slices? Dude, that is insane.
A lot of food.
I'll put money down on this.
How do you pass that? How do you
Please film
poop?
it.
How do you
I
poop?
will. You don't.
You just don't.
You just deal with it. You go to the ER afterwards, and they sew you back up.
You're like
you
a
open
Play-Doh
so
dude. It's just like coming out every hole. So it's like out of your ears.
Dude,
out of your
I
butt.
literally like even that day where I packed down that pizza, I didn't stop because I was sick. I stopped because I was like, I've probably have eaten too much.
Wow.
You know, I could have kept going. Like I love pizza is one of those things where like I have a bottomless gut. For pizza and pasta, I could take down two pies easy.
Yeah, that's. I feel like a lot of people's food, if they were going to do the world's record eating thing, would be pizza. That would be the choice. Brad, that's your thing. Pizza would be your food of choice.
No, well, holding my breath. I mean, for the food thing, I guess.
Yeah, for the food.
Like,
what
what's
about
going to
you,
make
Kyle?
me feel like dying the less? I don't know.
Yeah, pizza's tough. I always think of like the steak, right? You go in, you get the 90-ounce steak or whatever. If you eat it, it's free. Yeah. I can never do it. I think I could do it, especially when I'm hungry because I love a good steak, right? There's no way I'm eating half that steak.
I could never do shit like that. I couldn't do it. I'd puke immediately.
Right. And then the sweets, like the pie and the ice cream eating and stuff like that, that's even worse for me. It's like, how do you choke down that amount of that type of food?
I don't like ice cream enough to do something like that.
Nah, me either.
You know, and it's not even, I found this out recently, or not found this out. I thought about it recently. It was like, I don't like ice cream, but I love soft serve. Like, I don't like ice cream out of the fucking
frozen yogurt. Yeah,
like but even just like soft serve ice cream. Like I remember getting ice cream cones at like Carvel, and I was like, this is fucking great. But like, I don't know,
going to like Baskin Robbins or something. Yeah,
like the hard scoop. I don't know. There's something like not.
It's a little more demanding. I feel like.
Yeah, it is. It's a whole fucking process.
Yeah,
and it's
it's
not as good.
More too. Yeah,
really. See, that surprises me. You know why? Because there's so many infinitely more flavors of like the hard packed.
You're right.
Right.
There is. But like, so many more. How crazy you got to get, man.
Yeah, it's a texture thing. Like I love a good like vanilla ice cream cone with like sprinkles on it. If it's soft serve, like that it's honestly like iconic and great. Like I don't need any more than that. And vanilla soft serve is way better than fucking like
normal vanilla.
In the fucking
vanilla.
tub.
Good.
Vanilla.
Why can't there be more flavors of soft serve? What's the problem there? It's like you
got to go to Yogurt Land, man.
Oh, yogurt's another thing. I always forget about yogurt. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
No frozen yogurt. Oh, I remember
they had similar to soft serve.
Do you remember the
very close?
Do you remember the? I mean, I'm sure they still have them. I haven't had them in a long time, but like the firecracker, popsicles, like the red, white, and
red, white, blue,
rocket smoke. There was I think a frozen yogurt. It might have been a Yogurt Land or it might have been a Pinkberry or something, but they had like that flavor of frozen yogurt, and it was.
Yeah, dude. I think it was Yogurt Land because I had it too. Dude, it was great.
Slaps. It's like my favorite flavor. And now it's gone. Like it's like they rotate the flavors out, so it's like damn. But
that sounds good.
It's
probably in the summer it'll come back.
Yeah, probably.
The hot dogs are gross because it's the bun and the dog.
Yeah, you gotta shove it down the gullet.
I like hot dogs, but as far as like eating,
like speed eating or
speed eating,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, because you got to get wet in there. Yeah,
you got to dunk it in a cup.
Yeah, it's gross.
That's fucked up, dude.
So gross.
Yeah, that ain't right.
And somebody's throwing up. Somebody's definitely coming up.
Easily,
like you know what I mean. Somebody's definitely gonna get sick.
I remember
it's not a good scene.
I remember getting a New York City like a dirty water dog in like somewhere around Times Square when I was like a kid. My aunt was like, "You know what's in those?" She was like listing all these horrible things that were like pigeon. In hot dogs, like like pigeon gizzards.
Oh
and
no!
Fucking I don't know, dog intestines. And I'm like, I was just eating. I was like, I've had so many of these at this point.
Yeah, it's like who cares?
That's how I felt good. It's over.
I always talk about that with Fast Food Nation and Super Size Me and stuff, where everyone's like, "Don't you see?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't care. It's fucking good. Like, I don't care what the stuff's made out of. It's just,
the damage is done.
Yeah, like
that's like slathering your balls in talcum powder. I've been doing that for so long. I'm not going to stop now.
It's like
I'm not. They're going to fall off. If they were going to fall off, it's going to happen already.
It's like that famous clip of like that British dude going to the American children and he's like showing them like how they. You remember this video of like where he's showing them how they make chicken nuggets? No. And it's like he's explaining in direct detail like how gross it is. Like they mash chicken bones and like it's all just fucking processed garbage and it's like anal glands and all sorts of shit. And then he asks at the end like how after hearing all that, how many of you will still eat chicken nuggets? And every single child raised their hand. And they're like, I want some right now. In fact,
damn, dude,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
that's not going to work. You can't scare yourself straight from that kind of thing. I tried that.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah, it's not going to work. It's too delicious. You can't argue with the power of delicious. It's just not a thing. Kyle, talk to me about world records, man. Where do you want to take this thing?
Honestly, like I thought when you sent out the email last night, I was thinking about it, and and it's a lame answer, but the reality is like I really have no desire to do anything like that. Like I want to just be an inconspicuous man, you know?
Yeah,
dude.
Maybe the world's richest man. That would be cool.
Inconspicuous man.
Yeah, that'll be your world record. The most inconspicuous person.
Right.
Yeah.
The record for inconspicuousness.
I like it.
But yeah, you were asking about the food thing. I was making Micah laugh recently because I was telling her about how she knows because I eat cashews, but I'm like, I used to be known for just eating like so many cashews. Dagan used to make fun of me for eating like literally entire tubs of cashews in like one day. And so maybe that would be my world record, is to eat the most cashews.
That's a cool one.
You might be able to do
Cashew Man.
Cashew Man.
That'd be your robot master, dude. Cashew Man.
Yeah, he's like
nuts.com is not going to stop delivering those nuts, so you got to shop.
Yeah, we got it. I mean, we got to. I eat so many. I eat a shit ton of cashews, walnuts, and almonds. I like always have them just all in the pantry and just always going nuts with them.
I see what you did there. You son of a bitch.
I like that.
It's an iconic nut, cashews. that's my favorite.
Oh yeah,
they're good.
They're good.
Cashews.
The best.
They're good.
The best.
I should get some. I haven't had cashews in a while.
Pistachios.
Cashews.
My son is definitely allergic to them. It's the only thing he's allergic to. He's not allergic to any other kind of nuts, tree nuts, not just cashews. I mean, he's not deathly allergic. He'll break out in a rash, though. It's so strange. It's such a weird...
I'm allergic to walnuts a little bit.
Just walnuts?
Apparently.
Isn't that so weird?
Yeah,
How does
that
happen?
I remember I was at a date. I was at like a date's house, and we were just like kind of, I don't know. I was working on something, and she was working on something too, and she brought out this bowl of like walnuts, and I was like, oh, cool. And I was just shoveling it in my mouth. I was like, my throat really itches, and then I kept eating them, and then I was like, I think I might be allergic to these. And then she was like, do I have to take you to like a hospital? I was like, and I think I said like, I'm going to wait it out and see if we need to go.
That's smart, scary.
Yeah. Which is probably not the smartest thing to do, but it was fine. It turned out fine. Like cool. I have minor allergies to food. It's never really like a deathly, like even like some fruits I'm allergic to. Like, but I think it's specifically like the birch pollen in the fruit or something like that. So like it makes my gums tingle and itch and feel weird, but like I can still like, it's not going to kill me to have them. Okay. But because of that, I don't really have fruits unless I make a smoothie or something, blend them up.
That's in apples, even oranges, anything pedestrian like that. You just stay away.
Oranges, I think, are fine. It's more like it's apples and bananas a little bit, and it's very weird. Like I really don't understand the rhyme or reason to any of it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it sucks too because I like fruit a lot.
Yeah,
but
there was one record I saw, guys, as I was researching this over the last day and a half. It was the furthest basketball shot, which I was like, I got to see this.
That's cool, actually.
The guy threw it off the top of a skyscraper. And you think that they would have that section of whatever city they were in cordoned off, but they didn't. They totally didn't. Like there was people walking around and driving around down there. I was like, that guy is throwing a wrecking ball. If if that hits somebody, the person would explode.
Yeah, they're dead.
No, a basketball,
dude.
It can't
from
be
the
that
top
crazy.
of a skyscraper.
Yeah, it's like terminal velocity, 9.8 meters a second or whatever.
I can't imagine that it's that.
I was like, what is going on? If that ball went off target, like they had a little fenced off area, but that was it. So the guy's aim had to be pretty true. And then like from up there, you're judging like the wind is different than down below and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're like a sniper.
I was like, what is going on? But he did make in the shot I saw, he did make the shot. But I was so worried. Like I was thinking like, okay, there won't be any traffic for a couple of blocks, like a little radius, a little roped off radius. No. I was like, what city is this? What city is this irresponsible?
What city was it? Did you?
I don't know. I didn't find out. It looked like a second. Like it didn't look like a major city, but it was a big enough city to have 40-story buildings. That type of thing, like a Cleveland or something. Omaha, maybe Omaha. They seem like bastards over there. No. They might. No.
Whoa. Didn't anticipate that.
Sorry, Omaha. Never been to anywhere in the Midwest. Never been to Nebraska, that's for sure.
I drove through the Midwest, and that was entirely harrowing experience.
Really? Why?
Because it's just, I don't even know. There's just like an eerie. Like, I remember running into like the thickest fog I've ever seen, and I'll never forget this because like it was like in Kansas or somewhere around that. We were like driving, and the fog was so thick that you couldn't see like a foot and a half in front of you. Like it was that dense and that thick to the point where like I was driving and I had to like lean up and like look kind of out and at the road to make sure that I was like aligned with the lines as they were passing my wheel. It was fucking ridiculous. And then I was like, this is hell. And the whole time I was like, I was with my friend because we were driving to LA to move there. And like, I was like, I got to pull over. I'm freaking out, man. This is like really anxiety inducing. He was like, no, keep going. I was like, all right. Then we got out of the fog, and then we got out of the fog, and then 3 seconds later, probably less than, headlights behind us, a fucking semi was behind us that entire time, and we didn't notice.
Holy shit.
So it was like if we stopped for any reason, or if I slowed down, we could have gotten hit or something. I hate that entire section.
That's horrifying.
That's crazy.
Horrifying place. Specifically, Kansas is just mega weird. Like there's an uncanny nature to Kansas. And I remember driving through it. I swear to God, I passed the same town 3 times, like 30 miles apart. I'm not exaggerating. Like a straight line. And it almost felt like playing a video game where you would like notice the prefabs kind of pasted, where like I was driving, then I was like, oh, there's the billboard. And then if I one more minute down the road, I'm going to look to my left and there's going to be like a long hallway of like almost like a strip. And sure enough, like 3 times, it was like the same stores.
Oh, that's eerie.
It was upset. I hated it.
Yeah, that's eerie.
Yeah, disgusting. What's wrong with you people?
I watch an automotive YouTube channel that takes place somewhere in Kansas, somewhere in, it's relatively rural. And I got to say, it looks beautiful, but you could tell it's a different planet.
Yeah.
Because the guy's out in the car all the time driving, so you could see the landscape. And it's like, wow, that looks like nothing, just in terms of how far you could see, but also just in terms of the flatness, like an eternity of just flat nothing, just land and nothing. Not even trees, certainly no mountains, you know what I mean? Just like field, like plains going on as far as the eye could see. It was very interesting. I've never been out there, so it's intriguing. I do want to drive across the country once, though, at least. I have to do that.
It was, it's probably a better experience when you, I had like $280, so it was not the most exciting. It was not the best. It was not the most comfortable experience. I remember camping out in Illinois, and then there was like we just opened a tent, but we didn't bring sleeping bags because we forgot. So we just slept on the ground in this tent. And then like the whole night, I kept hearing like sniffing outside the camp, outside of the
tent,
outside of the tent, and I didn't sleep that entire night.
Skinwalker.
I was like, I'm gonna be fucking eaten.
Some bear gonna kill you. Yeah,
it's gonna be so embarrassing to die in like some fucking campground in Illinois. God damn it.
Gotta watch the Skinwalkers in Illinois.
Dagster or whatever that Twitter account is, that's like all about like gaming and drama and all that kind of stuff. Would have been YouTuber Chris Raygun dies.
That's what's so sad about it, is that it wouldn't. I wasn't even notable enough to have an article like that read. It would just be some nerd dies.
Someone died.
Lame ass kid dies.
Think of the possibilities now that you're famous.
Lame ass stupid nerd piece of shit dies in woods.
On that note, I'm satisfied.
Very well. Good.
Well done, my friends. Wow, is that 3 topics? Look how time flies.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And for you out there, were you not entertained? Has anyone seen Gladiator 2 yet?
I've not.
No.
Has anyone watched this thing?
No, but I love Gladiator though, so like I'm scared to watch it.
Me too.
It's like one of my favorite movies. I have it's one of the only movies I have arbitrarily on VHS. Like I have it here.
Hell yeah.
Great movie.
It's great. Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah,
Who plays he's like the Gladiators, like he's like the head of the whole thing, the whole Gladiator circuit. The man who I guess he becomes his mentor. It's his captor at first, but becomes his mentor. What's his name?
In the original?
I don't remember the names. It's been a while.
It's such a good character.
In the original one you're talking about?
The original Gladiator, yeah.
Oliver Reed.
Is that Oliver Reed?
Antonius Proximo, an old gruff gladiator
Proximo.
trainer who buys Maximus in North Africa.
Yeah, Proximo, yeah.
Proximo.
I remember you and I saw Gladiator in the theaters, I believe. And
I think so. Yeah.
The original one. And I remember we fell in love with Joaquin Phoenix's like white armor. I love the armor he wears at the end. Like it's all white. It's fucking sick.
So good.
It's like ivory almost
great,
or something.
man.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
It's a horse blanket.
Costumes.
Different movie. Sorry. Wrong movie.
So good.
And Denzel's in this new one, right? Which is kind of a shame.
I don't know. Let me see.
Is he in it?
Yeah, he is.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Or was that an earlier AI version of the trailer?
Denzel as Macrinus, a former slave who plans to control Rome.
I want it to be
wasn't
good.
There like
because of him?
Oh, man, wasn't that movie like famous because like it was like one of the first instances of like a digital. Like I think there was like one of the actors died and they had to digitally replace him. I'm pretty sure like
that's a good question.
I think Gladiator was like one of the first movies where like they used like a fully CG person double to like replace a dead actor.
And I could see that.
It was notable because it was like really fucking good.
That's crazy,
especially for the time.
Yeah, the effects are good. It's a 2000.
Oliver Reed died of a heart attack on May 2nd before all of his scenes had been filmed. His character Proximo was meant to survive, but after Reed's death, the script was revised to include his death at the hands of the Praetorian Guard. To make it appear that Reed had performed the entirety of Proximo's scenes, a body double was used, and Reed's face was digitally attached to the body of the double in post-production.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Yeah, I remember that very vividly because that was like one of the most interesting things about it. But
dude, the first one made $465 million at the box office. But dude, the second one, $461 million at the box office.
Really?
On a budget of $310 million. Gross.
Well,
so that's advertising too.
Well, that's also like, that's less impressive.
It's less impressive, but I thought that I honestly, based on the way people were talking about it or the way I was seeing it, I was like, that movie bombed. Like, who wants to buy Theater 2?
I totally thought that.
Because I know like Joker 2 bombed, right? And
I think so.
I thought it was this.
You know what? Financially, I'm not sure how it did.
Oh, look.
Yeah, I don't know.
With critics, it didn't do well. I think Quentin Tarantino's the only one on record.
It made $207 on a $200 million budget, so that's a loss, I would say.
Wow. General of the Felix Legion, loyal servant of the true Emperor.
Wow. Yeah,
dude, I love that movie.
Which one?
Gladiator.
It's so good.
Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. So good. So good.
It's Russell Crowe. Wait, what? That was Joe Pantoliano's character in Sopranos, always quoted Gladiator, right? What was his name? Not Richie. Wait, was it Richie? No. What did he play in the? What was his character's name in Sopranos? Why am I forgetting this? I'll look it up.
It doesn't matter.
None of this matters. Nothing matters.
It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
None of this matters. This whole thing.
That's what I think about. I think about that quote all the time. That's an Aqua Teen Hunger Force quote. Where like I think Carl. Have you seen that show, Dagan?
Oh my God, Carl! Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, Carl's the best.
Carl, where like he's getting married and like they can't pronounce his like last name. And he's like, just write whatever. No, who cares? And he just write whatever. And he's like, he says like write whatever. This don't matter. None of this matters.
Yeah, Shake Man.
I think about that all.
That show's great.
I think about that guy all the time.
Yeah, that show ruled.
That show was very, very funny.
Oh, it's great. Iconic. Totally iconic. Ralph, right? Cifaretto, of course.
Ralph.
I don't think I've seen. I think I've watched Sopranos all the way through like 4 times now. The fact I didn't know that off the top of my head is a real senior moment. Almost unforgivable.
I forget names all the time. So.
Oh, it happens to me more and more, man. It's so aggravating. You know, that's why I think those brain games are so important. Like I just hop on New York Times. Helene got me into this.
Oh, me too.
Just go on and just kind of keep your brain nimble.
Do the Wordle.
Oh, it's so important.
Play
Brain also Age. Terrible at those games, but it helps.
Brain Age, yeah. Brain Age. I never got into those.
The DS.
Oh, yeah. What's the math one? Sudoku?
Yeah, Sudoku. I used to love Sudoku when I was in college. I would
I can't.
I would get the Boston Metro. Like, you know that I can't remember what it's called, like the free paper. And it's like you would come out of the subway or off the Green Line or like around the corner. They'd hand you like a free newspaper every day. It was kind of like the Boston Metro.
It might have been
it was
the
probably
Metro.
like 10 pages long or something like that.
Yeah.
And they would always have a Sudoku in there, so I'd always do it during class, like in the morning. I don't even really remember how I was really good at it. Now I haven't done it in many years, but that is good for you.
Yeah, just keep you tuned up.
Our stepfather, Dagan and I's stepfather, my mom's husband, is really into that shit. Like not Sudoku, but like deeper brain games, like in books and stuff like that. He's a federal government employee and he took the buyout.
He took it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's an FBI analyst.
Works for him.
And he's
right?
he's like 75, I guess. He's like, all right.
Now he can do all the New York Times crosswords he wants.
Well, yeah, he already got. I mean, he's going to be a full-time professor at VCU.
Right. So. Yeah, that worked out timing wise. Yeah, good for him. I'm not sure how the buyout's going for people that are younger, but he was a retirement age anyway.
Yeah, and he's going to get his generation, his retirement.
Once again, the old people are really primed for success.
Yeah, I love the videos that you see every once in a while where it's like old people doing like line dancing, and it's like, my grandmother after selling the house she bought for $20,000 for $5 million, and it's like dancing.
yeah, which is true
to a Chinese mega corporation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, amazing.
Well, guys, if you're ready, I'm just going to go around and say goodbye to everybody one by one. Chris, it was good seeing you, my friend, today. Maybe this was we broke a Guinness record in podcast length. Not this episode, but certainly on Sacred Symbols, you guys must have done some marathon eps, right?
5 hours yesterday.
I think Summon Sign's the longest we've ever done.
Yeah, we did it.
Right?
Yeah.
That
it was like 7 hours.
No way.
It was split up. It was multiple groups with me. It wasn't all in one go, but yeah, for one go, the Sacred Boys for sure have it.
Yeah, because I think what was the longest one that we had was like was it 6?
Yeah,
or was it like
hours once? I think during like a showcase.
Yeah, that was the longest one that we did.
That's long. Yeah, we're weighing it at like what 3:15 right now, so not even.
We'll be like 3 and change.
Not terrible. Yeah, weekend plans. Well, guys, talk to me. We're going out here. It's Valentine's Day. I don't know if that applies.
I'm not going out tonight. We did our stuff earlier in the week.
Okay.
Going out on Valentine's Day is kind of a shit show often.
It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
I'm playing Elden Ring Night Rain tonight. The beta or the network test. I got in, so I'm going to be checking that out. See how it goes.
Cool.
With Dustin.
Yeah, he was saying that on the show. Be interested to see what people think of it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Carl, you're next up, my friend.
Yeah, I'm out of here. We're gonna just have dinner tonight at home. I think Mike kind of meets me halfway on this because I really don't like Valentine's Day. Like I think it's, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's Colin all curmudgeonly. I'm like, it just feels predatory in some sense. It's like, Jesus Christ, like we get it, Christmas.
Hallmark.
It's like all this. It's just all these different things. Like, yeah, I love you very much, and so will we hang out and we're together every day. It's like, so how do I have to up the game? I guess a little bit. But I feel like, I work hard to give us a good life and all that kind of stuff. I show my love every day. I feel bad for the pressure it puts on younger people, especially like people in newer relationships and people that are in kind of an imbalanced relationship where like it matters to one person, but it really doesn't to the other person. Because that's tough on a shared holiday. There aren't many holidays that are truly shared. Like you have your Christmas and all that kind of stuff, but like usually it's a birthday. So like, I don't care about my birthday. I don't like it. I've never liked it. So for people to ignore it, it's like, please, I'm telling you, I don't want to do anything for my birthday, but the other person gets to make their own choice as well. With Valentine's Day, kind of a little more mixed up.
It's a little lopsided. I'll make you hate Valentine's Day even more. You know what's going on with the kids now? I don't know if you guys are privy to this. There's this whole thing that I learned from my daughter and her boyfriend. They've been going out for about a year. And it's going to be interesting when she goes to school in Miami and he goes to school in Vermont, but we won't talk about that yet.
Yeah.
But there's this new thing where you have to, even if you're with somebody, the protocol is you have to ask them to be your Valentine with a little gift. So it's like a pre-Valentine Valentine. And I'm like, do you guys understand it's Godiva and Hallmark and American Greetings that are doing it?
Now there's like a prelude. It's like, come on, man.
It's like, what?
Yeah. Just relax.
Stop.
It's
enough.
Yeah. Along with Halloween, it's like the most commercialized like arbitrarily commercialized, like not even trying to frame itself around anything. Holiday. It's like, yeah, it's just February 14th. Yeah, it's like, okay.
You know what's funny though? I went to go buy little greeting cards just for the kids because I still think of them as little. Like I get them a little trinket, a little card or whatever. And I went into the Hallmark store over here, and it wasn't, a couple days ago, and it wasn't crowded. I was expecting it to be packed, with dudes on their lunch break, going through the
Probably
motions, getting the teddy bear and the roses, No, nothing. No one in there. So are people not biting at the carrot anymore? I don't know. I don't know what the consensus is. It's interesting. Yeah. It does feel like a little bit of like going through the motions, right? I always try to be a little bit, extra thoughtful. Like I'm not going to get the box of chocolates, heart-shaped box of chocolates and the roses. Like get something that Helene really wants. It doesn't have to be a necessarily quote unquote romantic gift, but something that she likes flowers, but you know what I mean? Try to think outside the box a little bit.
Sometimes just get them chocolate. All women like chocolate.
That is true.
It's true. I've never met a woman that doesn't like chocolate.
You can't go wrong, really, with that.
Can't go wrong.
Listen, you're right. Whatever you guys do, we're talking to you after Valentine's Day anyway. But I don't know. Take these lessons into next year. Valentine's 2026.
Yeah, listen to this episode next Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
save it.
Yeah,
save it.
Save it. Bookmark it.
Make it a favorite. Tell you that at the end.
Yes. Erase your memories.
Would you look at the time? That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. Little bit of house cleaning. Patreon.com/laststandmedia for early ad-free access. As always, and laststandmedia.store has the merch. For Brad, Chris, and the Colster, I'm Dagster Moriarty saying thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. We love you. We heart you for Valentine's Day. See you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Now, in the meantime, you could go listen to your second favorite podcast. See you next week. Peace.
Constellation is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show was conceived by and is directed and hosted by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is my brother, Dagan Moriarty. The show is produced by Last Stand's executive producer, Dustin Furman. All Last Stand theme music is by Ramon Narvaez, and all of our graphics and logos are by Dagan Moriarty. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's podcasts, including Constellation, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest support tier, and we're infinitely grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor.